So if you're ready to upgrade your drive and bring that game day energy to every day, visit BMW of Pleasant Grove or online at bmwofpg.com. BMW of Pleasant Grove. Drive elevated.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15, still some light and scattered delays, now starting at about 5300 south, reaching up to 13th south, especially slow as you approach 13th south. Eastbound I-80, that right lane pretty full between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff, a very normal delay to expect. In Weber and Davis counties, roadways looking really good. No slowdowns on I-15. Same story on I-15 in Utah County. Attention property managers. Customers see your parking lot before seeing your lobby. Make the first thing unforgettable with GoPave Utah. Seal coating, crack sealing, striping, patching across the Wasatch Front. Visit at GoPaveUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's a weather forecast. After the weekend hot weather, things are going to feel relatively cool with highs in the low 90s over the next 3 days, and then it gets back up towards 100 by Thursday, and Friday it's supposed to hit 102. High of 90 today, right now 74 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Utah Fire Watch.
Did you notice that reddish hue in the sky this morning?
I did. There's cooler temperatures today, but the air is really, really smoky. And a lot of the smoke along the Wasatch Front, at least up here, is coming from the north from the fires in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it doesn't mean we don't have our own fires to deal with. In fact, it was not a good weekend for blazes around the state. Utah Fire Watch will have more on that in just a few minutes.
But today I wanted to start things off with this air quality and the massive evacuation still underway in and around the city of Spokane, Washington. I mean, have you seen some of the videos coming out of there? It's just like, it's incredible.
Yeah, you know, in Canada and up in that area, it's been bad. Now it's coming into the United States.
So that fire is on track, at least at what I'm seeing online, it is probably the most destructive fire in Washington state history. So ABC's Alex Stone is in the area with more on that.
Authorities are calling it the worst natural disaster the region has ever seen. More than 7,000 acres burning. Firefighters racing in from several states and as far away as Australia. But overnight, crews on the front lines reporting no containment. Home after home burned to the ground. Residents and their family members are coming back to find what's left.
Yeah, and they're saying 600 structures have been burned. I'm assuming structure could include a home, obviously, and that 5,000 homes have been evacuated far.
The numbers that I've seen, 640 updated this morning, but 65,000 people. So the homes, right, have more than one person, I guess. But that, the scope of that is just so large, right? And I've been in that area. It's really beautiful. And it is just on fire.
Yeah, Spokane is a beautiful area. Gonzaga University is there. I've been there a few times and visited friends up there as well. It is surrounded by some forest. It's the second largest city in Washington state. So obviously there's a fairly decent-sized population. I think they've got about 250,000 people. And it's hitting close to a big city, which we don't expect. I mean, we often think of these wildfires as being sort of more remote, rural kind of things.
Yep. What's interesting to me, well, one of the things that's interesting is they have about 7,700 acres burning. But we've talked about fires in Utah this summer burning more than 100,000 acres, right? We've got a fire in Utah right now, 36,000 acres. So 7,000 acres feels smaller, but because it's close to a population center, right, it's really wreaking havoc.
Yeah. How many people did you say have been evacuated?
65,000. 65,000 people.
You know, that's a huge part of that community up there.
Yeah.
Oh,
So as of 11 p.m. Last night, the fire was 0% contained, which, of course, is always concerning because you've got the wind, you've got the high temperatures, even though it's slightly cooler, but I mean, it's all relative, right? It's not going to be over 100 today in Utah, but it's still hot.
You know, it just seems like wildfires we talk about every day.
I
mean,
know.
in Europe, in
Yeah.
Washington, the state of Utah started early, and we've had huge fires here in the state. We've had some of the biggest in the country, and maybe we still have. If you consider maybe the top 4 or 5 wildfires in the country this year, Utah's probably got 2 or 3 of them. You know, we're way up there.
Yeah, and the up in Washington, the 3 fires up in Washington, they started just on Saturday. So I mean, that's rapid growth, and I sometimes it feels like deja vu, right? We're just like, okay, let's talk about wildfires again. But we have a serious problem.
You know, it makes for beautiful, ironically, sunsets and sunrises. I was noticing
the
this
smoke.
morning, it was just gorgeous, but it's all part of the smoke. And you know, when you're outdoors, and you were outside this last week, I went outside quite a bit. They tell you not to do a lot of activity outside because the air is so bad. And at times, Holly, it's so bad that there's particulate in the air. You can see it.
yeah.
You can see ashes in
You
some
can taste it
areas.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
They said that Spokane has the worst air in the United States this morning because of their wildfires in the entire country.
Yeah, I can believe that, right? It's, I mean, when I can see it from here, we don't live right next to, in fact, we're looking right now at a video online about Spokane and just these fires, just incredible.
Yeah, that's clearly a home that's burning there.
Yeah.
It's just off chart. Okay, well, we do have with us Maddie Vollmer. She's a KSL TV reporter live in southern Utah to talk to us about what's going on down there.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're
Good.
great.
Thanks for joining us, Maddie. So you're down there watching the Wide Mouth 2 fire, right?
That is correct.
Give us an update. What's happening?
So right now, I was actually able to speak with tribal leaders from the Nosh Band Reservation, and they said that they are all able to come back onto the reservation now. And they've been here since Saturday, but they're still preparing if things get worse. I was also able to speak with the U.S. Forest Service and their public information officer, and they told me that last night there was a 9-mile-long spread of this fire, and they weren't able to get aerial footage, but they do know that it's over 36,000 acres right now, so they're just keeping an eye on it. Keeping an eye on that fire and making sure that if it spreads, they're able to tell the residents to get out and be prepared.
So can I ask you then a follow-up question on evacuations? Haven't some already occurred, but there might be more? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there could be more. They're not sure. It just depends which way this wind is blowing and where that fire spreads. The Kanosh Band Reservation is back on their reservation. But I know in Fillmore as well as Meadow that there were some set evacuation orders in place. So they're not quite at that go stage yet.
So, Maddie, you're in Millard County, I take it, because the fire is in the Kanosh-Fillmore area. Can you give us a sort of a description of where it is in relation to the bigger cities there?
Yeah,
Fillmore
that's right.
and Delta.
Just a little, I want to say, from where I'm standing on the mountain ridges, there's a big plume of smoke. I want to say this is headed northeast. There's a very big plume of smoke. And there's a few hot spots along the mountain ridge over here, but not that I can see of as of right now. When I first got into Miller County this morning at about 4:45 this morning, I could see very big red dots in the sky, highlighting where those fires are. But right now, just the poofs of smoke, probably some hot spots along the edge of the mountain range right here. But other than that, the smell, you can definitely smell the fire. And this morning there was so much smoke around us during the live shots that you could see the smoke through the headlights of the car.
Can you tell us what the weather is that you're expecting down there today?
This morning, it was definitely really windy. Right now, it's not windy at all. It's kind of perfect outside, so that should be good news for those fire crews fighting the fire right now. But it's pretty hot right now outside. Stable conditions in terms of wind and stuff like that. But right now, warm temperatures, no wind.
All right. Thanks, Maddie. That's Maddie Vollmer with KSL TV. And I just wanted to mention there was another fire, too, over the weekend up in Logan. That it was the forest. It was really near Utah State University. It damaged 2 structures. It was 50% contained, but it forced evacuations up there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so many fires going right now. It's hard to keep track of them. Widemouth fire, the Johnson Canyon fire. Logan has a fire as well. And then, of course, what we started out the conversation with is the really horrific fire they've got going on in Spokane area. Well, that's a really bad way to start the day, but I want to have a conversation on what we can do with fires burning around, and it's easy to feel pretty helpless. Is there anything more Utahns can do when you're feeling like this? We're going to talk about that when we come back.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you a local business tired of juggling deliveries, managing drivers, or sending valuable employees across town? There's a better way. Pigeon Ship. For more than 10 years, Pigeon Ship has provided fast, reliable, same-day and next-day delivery services for businesses throughout Utah. Whether you need a few deliveries a day or hundreds, Pigeon Ship has the network, technology, and experience to get it done on time. Auto parts, plumbing supplies, electrical components, pharmacy deliveries, and more. Utah's most successful businesses trust Pigeon Ship to keep their operations moving. Stop the stress of hiring drivers. Stop pulling employees away from their real jobs. And stop worrying about whether your deliveries will arrive on time. Join the thousands of businesses that rely on Pigeon Ship every day for dependable local delivery solutions. Visit pigeonship.com today to schedule a call and see how quickly Pigeon Ship can streamline your delivery operations. Pigeon Ship. Avoid the trip. Pigeon Ship. That's pigeonship.com. pigeonship.com.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you see this in your kitchen,
the stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
You hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves, or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
And expanded Inside Sources.
As we've been tracking the wildfires around Utah this year, it's been more and more wildfires that were caused by humans than not. But now that number is about 50-50. I'm not sure why, but roughly half of all the wildfires that have burned in Utah this year have been human caused, and that, like I said, is down from a few weeks ago.
So even still, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of wildfires caused by humans. So the governor is cautioning against careless action as our wildfire risk just continues to grow. We knew it was going to be bad. We knew it.
Yeah, and a lot of these things make a lot of sense, but it's what would you do? What can you do? As everything's burning around us, it's awful, and it's still hot. I mean, it was 100 and whatever yesterday. It's supposed to be in the 90s today.
I think it was 105 in Salt Lake
yesterday. And it's getting
yesterday.
up into the hundreds again this week.
I know.
So
when you cool off into the 90s, it's been hot.
Yeah, it's just a tinderbox.
So, look, we have a texter already who, when we said, what can we do, right? Sometimes it feels like, oh, gosh, everything's on fire. There's nothing we can do. But Bob, our listener, said defensible spacing away from the structure, a fire-resistant roof, and attic vents that prevent embers from going in. So there are things you can do to keep your home safer, right? Safer.
And I think that obviously a lot of things we do are knee-jerk, but I think as we start doing more landscaping, more home building, fires have to be taken into consideration, especially in rural areas when you're building roofs, when you're setting up acreage around your yard and building these fire breaks. Of course, when it's windy, a lot of that doesn't help a lot, but it can be a real mess.
I remember a couple of years ago there was a fire down in Harriman, and it was I think undeveloped land maybe behind this area, but they were able to get water to the back line of the fences, and some of the fences melted, but they were able to save the houses just by keeping kind of a fire break right there in the yards. But look, I wanted to say Governor Cox said the state has reached a 4 out of 5 on the National Fire Preparedness Level scale, which is something I didn't know we had. So I want to tell you about it, if that's okay.
Is that a good thing?
No, that's not a good thing.
Okay. I was wondering, 4 out of 5.
No, so 5 would be the highest level, which is it has to do with management and interagency resource commitments. But a level 4, which is where we're at now, is national resources are heavily committed. National mobilization trends affect all geographic areas and regularly occur over larger distances. National priorities govern resources of all types, and there's a heavy demand on inactive or low active geographic areas for available resources. The only one that's worse or more intense is a level 5, which is there are national resources heavily committed, which is the same as 4. Additional measures are taken to support geographic areas, and those areas must take emergency measures to sustain incident operations. So I think it's like we keep saying it's serious. It's really, really serious.
Yeah, and our governor was talking about some of the firefighters that are involved in this Widemouth 2 fire, the one we just spoke about. They're facing what he's calling catastrophic conditions, with the resources that are thin. And a total, as of yesterday, 745 fires have burned 423,000 acres in Utah this year. I mean...
right? It's a lot.
Almost 500,000 acres. I mean, that's wild.
And that's just Utah. I think I saw this morning Oregon has burned 1.2 million acres in their state, and Washington now is on fire. So I wanted to also talk about an article I saw this morning. This one is in the Salt Lake Tribune, actually, but they talked about we just talked about mitigating your potential for your home burning down if you can take some actions to remove brush close to your home, those types of things. But there isn't a way to notify your insurance company that, hey, my home is at less risk for this because I've done these things.
There isn't a way?
There isn't.
Oh.
But they're finalizing a framework now for that to be able to happen. So there hasn't really been a system for you to say, hey, Mr. Insurer, my rate should not skyrocket because I live in Utah. Right. But what they're doing, this was actually, we talked about this, I think maybe during the legislative session, but there was a bill passed last year that is trying to improve wildfire risk information, including a new outline of the high risk wildland urban interface. We talked about that when we talked about fireworks, right? This interface. And so people who are in this wildfire interface could see new fees attached to their property tax bills, but insurance can now, insurance companies can now have a process where people can say, hey, this is what I've done. It doesn't mean they're going to lower your rates, however.
It's interesting, just coincidentally, we've lived in our house for almost 20 years. This month, for the very first time in history, we got a letter from our insurance carrier saying you need to do this and this and this.
Really?
Really?
About fire?
No, it was just about safety around the home. But it seemed like they're more interested, they're more cautious. It had to do with our deck and the railings around the deck. You need to build this, you need to build that. I thought, oh boy, they're coming around. Because somebody literally had to come into our backyard and look at our deck. You know what I mean? They had to breach the fence and go in there.
Maybe it was a drone.
Maybe, yeah, good point. But they may be doing the same thing with fire breaks.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and it's also interesting that the insurance companies don't have to lower your rates, which to me would say they're probably not going to do that. So I also wanted to talk about just a story. We've talked about what do you take if you have to leave in an emergency, and we've talked about the Ready, Set, Go, right, with the Red Cross. We were talking about the one of the other fires in southern Utah or mid Utah, but the Ready, remember, is you really need to have everything put together when you're not under intense emotional stress, right? And then the set is you start to put that in your car and you make sure you know where your kids and your animals are if you're taking your animals, etc. And then go is literally go. So yesterday I saw on X, because I'm there a lot, the emergency evacuation from this wide mouth fire that said human life is in danger. Go now with only the things you have by the front door. Don't stop for anything else. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, go.
Get
means
out now.
Just go. Do whatever you're doing.
It's do not pass go, right? So some of the things that people grabbed. What do you think? What would you grab?
Well, I guess the pets. I mean, you grab your.
I would want to.
Your pets.
Yeah, and your kids.
Yeah, I don't know if you have something that has irreplaceable things, like nothing's irreplaceable, but like wills and trusts and things
some
like
of those
that.
important papers,
Right.
some of those important documents, right? That's what some people take. Well, in this Salt Lake Tribune article, one person took butter.
Yeah, like why? That seems silly. Maybe they just had it out or something.
I know, but still, for me, it's like, that would not be on my list. Do you know what was on my list for a long time? It was so funny. My wedding dress. I've only used it once.
Yeah.
But for like the first 5 years we were married or something, I was like, I'm going to grab my wedding dress. Now it's like, whatever. Like, I don't even have it anymore.
Well, one of the people they interviewed grabbed his guns, and I thought, well, those are precious and they're valuable. Part of the reason he grabbed his ammunition as well, is that he thought firefighters didn't want to have stuff going off.
I know,
like
for
if,
sure.
If his arsenal of bullets get on fire
Yeah.
and they start blasting around, that's not good to be a firefighter in that area. So
Yeah.
good for him to be thoughtful in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. There are some people, of course, who are really prepared, and I've heard about these binders, right? And Even in my local neighborhood, we've had a class on these, they call them emergency binders, but it has all of like the essential information, but it also has a place for the documents. So your birth certificates, which by the way, you can replace easily, birth certificates and passports and all of those types of things. And then you just grab the binder. It's just one binder. So there are some people who were absolutely prepared with that. And then we're also able to take their cats and their dogs and their bearded dragons, and some people even took their chickens. So.
Yeah. They make fireproof safes, but they can only withstand so much heat.
Yeah, and the heat, I think, from these wildfires is too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so next on Inside Sources, we're going to take a break from wildfires and talk about a new deal on how Western states share water. Super important. Our conversation with the chair of the Colorado River Authority coming up after news, traffic, and weather.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour is our top national story from ABC News. Oil prices fell again after President Trump said he called off plans for a massive new attack on Iran at the request of Gulf allies. ABC's Matt Rivers in Jordan.
Overnight Saturday, posting on social media saying he canceled the attack subject to being able to rapidly make a deal, adding the perimeters of a deal had been agreed to. A far different tone from Friday.
We'll be hitting them very hard. And, at some point they're going to say, we just can't take it anymore.
But Trump saying that Iran and regional U.S. allies alike had since asked him to hold off, claiming any deal would include reopening the Strait of Hormuz and address Iran's nuclear threat.
Prior to Trump's announcement, Iranian media said the foreign minister warned regional countries of harsh retaliation. The two senators holding out on confirming acting Attorney General Todd Blanche have changed course. They are now supporting his nomination. It comes after Blanche rescinded the anti-weaponization fund that would have given money to those wronged by the government under the Biden administration. Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, has a court date today over a citizen's complaint about politics and pillows.
The challenge is over pillows he gives away while campaigning for Minnesota governor. A citizen who saw him hand out pillows at a 4th of July parade complained that they have a monetary value of $34.95. An administrative law judge says it appears Lindell is violating state campaign laws. The pillows have campaign literature tucked inside. Lindell says he follows all guidelines to the T. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up 535 points to 53,020. The Nasdaq's up 456 points to 25,833. Coming up, get ready for another hot weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Picture this. You pull into your driveway, and for the first time in a long time, you will love what you see. Beautiful new siding, bright energy-efficient windows, gutters that protect your home year-round, and a deck that makes the backyard feel brand new. Not someday, not after one more year. With RGS Exteriors, the home you've been wanting can start today.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
Hey Utah, have you heard? Nuclear energy might be coming to our state. Now, before your brain jumps straight into sci-fi movies, let's talk about what nuclear actually does. Nuclear technology helps power our nation's submarines, supports life-saving cancer treatments, and produces reliable electricity for millions of homes. That said, nuclear power also comes with some common misconceptions. Don't worry, we get it. Here's a fun fact. You're exposed to more radiation eating bananas than you are living near a nuclear power plant. And get this, a lifetime supply of nuclear energy fits into a single soda can. Despite what some people believe, nuclear energy is safe, clean, and incredibly efficient. But don't just take my word for it. Energy decisions matter, and Utahns deserve the facts. Learn more about nuclear and what it can mean for you. Visit energy.utah.gov/nuclear.
Progressive knows you've got plenty of things to worry about.
What time does the kids' practice end? How long has that check engine light been on? Are takeout containers microwave safe?
So the last thing you should have to worry about is what to do if something unexpected happens on the road. That's why if you're ever in a major accident, Progressive's accident response can detect it and send help. It's just one less thing to worry about.
How long does chicken last in the fridge?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
And we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Free at every AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Traffic and weather together is brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
Just the last of your northbound I-15 delays dying out as you approach 13th South. Otherwise, I-15 looking really good in Utah, Davis, and Weber counties. Even the regular delays is easing up quite a bit. No delays eastbound I-80 in the right lane approaching the US 40 turnoff. The 201 freeway, though, pretty heavy, especially westbound approaching 8000 West with that construction project in Magna. Earn double points on gas and groceries this summer, plus 10,000 bonus points when you open a new Cypress CU Rewards Visa. Learn more at cypresscu.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, it's going to cool down a little bit for the next couple of days. So with a high of 90 today, 91 tomorrow, 94 on Wednesday. Then it starts to head back up towards triple digits. We'll hit that by Friday with a high of 102. Right now it's 75 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Utah's Water Watch. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
A 2-year stalemate over how to share the water from the Colorado River finally has some finality. The federal government released their preferred management plan for how that water should be used.
Yeah, and we sort of been waiting for the federal government to intervene because they've asked the states to sit down and work things out, and they didn't. But what came out of it was, especially with respect to the lower basin states, this is California, Arizona, and Nevada, they have to cut their water usage by 20% over the next 2 years. That's pretty significant.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really talk about what happens with the upper basin states, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, and the northwestern portion of New Mexico, but we do want to find out what, if anything, they need to do. And part of the issue with the lower basin states is they get a lot of their water from the two huge reservoirs down there, Lake Powell and Lake Mead,
which are at record lows.
Right, and there are very, very few reservoirs in the upper basin, so we kind of rely mostly on the snowpack and the water that's coming off from the snow.
Well, I wanted to talk more about this new plan with Gene Shawcroft. He's the chair of the Colorado River Authority of Utah. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Holly, Greg. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Look, one of the news stories I saw this morning had a headline that was something like, Utah's happy, Arizona's not. So can you break down for us and our listeners what this plan puts in place, or at least proposes?
Sure. Thank you. Just a bit of background. In 2007, the states came together and agreed on a 20-year operation plan for Lake Powell and Lake Mead. That plan expires at the end of September of this year. It is obvious that that plan was not robust enough to deal with the significantly low drought or low runoff we've had over the last 20 years. And so as we have spent, frankly, the last 4.5 years trying to negotiate with the states, it's become very complicated because people are depending on water that exceeds the available supply. And so one of the things that I am excited about, if there is any excitement about any of this, is the fact that The federal government's plan recognizes that we have to deal with a supply-driven system rather than a demand-driven system. And the '07 guidelines focused on a demand system, which allowed more water to be released than what was coming in. That's why our large bank accounts in Lakes Powell and Meade have been depleted, and we're in the situation we're in right now.
Can you talk to us about Lake Powell and Lake Meade, and if they are part of this plan? Because we talked, Gene, a couple of weeks ago about the fact that they were considering draining Powell and just to get more money to Lake Meade. Is that in any way part of this plan?
This plan is specific to operations of Lake Powell and Lake Meade. And as I mentioned, there are really two levers. One is how much comes into the system and how much goes out of the system. That's the only thing we have. And Mother Nature controls what comes in, man controls what goes out. And so about a month ago, 2 months ago, the federal government concluded that in order to provide additional water for Lake Powell, they would release 1 million acre-feet of water over the next year from Flaming Gorge to Lake Powell. And they would also reduce releases out of Lake Powell by 1.5 million acre-feet, which added together is about 2.5 million acre-feet of water in Powell, or will be in Powell by the end of next year, that should otherwise have either stayed in Flaming Gorge or gone through the system.
So, Gene, I wanna ask you about California, because I hear, and you're the expert, which is why we're asking you. I hear that California takes so much of the Colorado River water. Is there, are there any cuts that California is going to have to make, or are we just out of luck and Utah has to kind of absorb some of those, and maybe Arizona?
Let me just explain something that happens every year in the Upper Basin. And Greg mentioned the 4 states that are involved in the Upper Basin. Those states only get what Mother Nature provides. So we have no large reservoir above us. We have a snowpack, and that snowpack is our large reservoir. And when that snowpack is small, like it was this year, we don't get the water that we should otherwise get. There are farmers, communities that are in dire circumstances right now. There are many acres of land in the Uinta Basin that weren't even farmed this year because there was no water. And so our reductions or our cuts are mandated by Mother Nature. The lower basin cuts are mandated by man. And the Bureau of Reclamation has the ability to either increase or decrease the amount of water released to the lower division states. To your point, California has their allocation, I don't want to throw out too many numbers, 4.4 million acre-feet of the lower basin 7.5. That's their right. That's what they're entitled to. That's what they've been using. And what they have agreed to do on a voluntary basis is reduce that use by 10% or 400,000 acre-feet.
So we have a texter asking, or at least saying, that the lower states have been using more water than they were actually allocated. Is that part of this framework? Is that they need to go back to only what they were allocated, or they're, as you just said, making additional cuts?
Yes, they need to reduce their use. One of the things that the lower basin has done is they have not had to account for what evaporates from the lakes and what gets lost in transit. That has been an issue for 100 years. They acknowledge they have to account for that. So what actually gets to their head gates, if you will, their points of diversion, will be less than what it has been in the past.
It sounds, Gene, as though Lake Powell is at least going to be around for a couple more years with that inflow from, like you say, 2.5 million acre-feet from Flaming Gorge and other sources. It sounds like they're doing everything they can to save Lake Powell rather than going to that plan that I mentioned and feeding it down into Meade.
Yes, one of the things that's critically important in Flaming Gorge, in Lake Powell, is to maintain an elevation of about 3,500 feet in elevation. That protects the ability to get water through the penstocks and generate power. If the elevation gets below that, then water can't go through those penstocks because it would cause damage to the penstocks. And there are outlet works near the bottom of the reservoir that could be used to release water, but they were designed only to help fill the reservoir when it was initially filled. They were not designed to operate on a 24/7, 365 basis.
Well, there you go.
So that's why Reclamation is doing everything they can to keep that elevation above 3,500.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gene. That helps a lot. We had a lot of questions about that last week. That was Gene Shawcroft, chair of the Colorado River Authority of Utah, helping us understand some things that we didn't understand last week with this Colorado River Authority and what's happening in Utah and the lower basin states also. This morning after the break, some new details have come out this morning about a mass shooting that left 3 people dead outside a brand new In-N-Out Burger location in Twin Falls, Idaho. This is really a sad story, Holly, and we're learning more about the suspected shooter. We'll talk about that when we come back.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't face the IRS alone.
I was self-employed and I got behind on my taxes. And then 1 year became 2 years and 3 years and $116,535.47 to be exact. It just became overwhelming. Finally, I went to another tax company and they were more interested in how good they were than helping me. I heard about Jordan and talking to the other people who'd done and been in the same situations that I was in, and their tax problems seemed just like mine. And so I went to Jordan and it was amazing. They were able to negotiate it down to $5,200 and life became wonderful to me.
Don't face the IRS alone. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com to schedule your free consultation. That's endtaxworry.com.
I will be forever grateful.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
I'm Maria Chaleos here with Bonnie from Salt Lake City Fat Loss.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks.
Tell us why the Salt Lake City Fat Loss program is preferred versus other weight loss programs that offer pills or injections.
Our program is the #1 natural alternative to drugs or injections, and for those who want to lose fat and not muscle. People are spending hundreds of dollars on these injections that are giving them slower weight loss, where our program is a fraction of the cost and they're losing twice the amount of weight.
Can people lose weight fast on your program?
Most of our clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or 2, but the biggest thing is they're learning the skills to keep the weight off.
What are some things that set your program apart from other weight loss programs?
It's very easy to follow, and we use regular grocery store foods. There's no heavy exercising required, and you get a personal health coach to help you every step of the way.
I chose the Salt Lake City Fat Loss program along with over 70,000 people from across the U.S. Schedule your free consultation online at slcfatloss.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Boy, this is a tough one, Holly, but there was a mass shooting just north of us in Twin Falls, Idaho, not far from the Utah-Idaho border. There were apparently a very crowded In-N-Out Burger on Saturday. The restaurant had just opened a couple of weeks ago, so it was packed, and a shooter went in there and started shooting with his gun.
Yeah, there are 3 people who are now dead, several others injured. The whole thing just makes me sad and mad. I mean, let's be honest, this is terrible.
Yeah, and it's just another example of things that are going on. This one's got an interesting sort of twist, though. So let's get the updates on the investigation today. This is ABC's Trevor Alt, who was in Twin Falls this morning.
This morning, an off-duty state trooper and an armed citizen seen in this video returning fire as a gunman went on a shooting rampage outside an Idaho In-N-Out restaurant are being hailed as heroes.
What's happening? What happened? What's happening?
Shoot. The first 911 calls coming in Saturday afternoon.
Report multiple people down.
Hundreds of people in this crowded shopping center running for their lives.
Everybody's running.
Video shows Jordan Salinas, the citizen who returned fire, taking on the shooter and likely saving lives.
We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties.
The 35-year-old tells the Idaho Statesman he had just pulled into the parking lot when he heard the gunfire. He said he felt no fear, adding, quote, "There's a task that needs to be done, and we're the ones who need to do it," and said the gunman did not like it when bullets started firing both ways. 3 people were killed, 7 others injured, 2 are in critical condition. Lindsay Tangy heard the gunshots.
It was just mass chaos. The attention was everybody running from In-N-Out.
She found several victims, including her friend Terry Dudley, a taxi driver and Army veteran who'd been shot in his car.
I walked over and Terry was in his front seat, still conscious at the moment, but not really able to communicate.
Police have now identified the shooter as 24-year-old Chad Williams. They say he died at the scene from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That In-N-Out had opened just a week before, drawing massive crowds. The company says one of the workers is among the dead, saying she was taking care of our most important asset, our customers. The shooter took the precious lives of our associate and customers, innocent people who never saw it coming.
And investigators say they want to speak to all of the hundreds of witnesses and see any video, as the motive for the shooting is still unclear.
And that's always something that we always look at, is what was the motive behind something like this. This was a very crowded restaurant on a Saturday. You can imagine they just said there were hundreds of witnesses, so there were people there. It's interesting. I mean, this is the Wild West, and so a person goes into a place like that and starts shooting, and there were 2 people in or around that that fired back. Armed. One was an off-duty state trooper, and the other is an individual. They both probably saved a lot of lives because the shooter had to, he's getting fire from the other side, so he bailed out probably. Otherwise, I think it could have been a lot worse.
So these mass shootings are always just so disturbing to me. So they did identify the shooter as Chad Williams. So I have a question for you, and we have a texter with a question as well. There's video evidence, and he's dead, so there's not going to be a court proceeding. Is he the suspected gunman or the gunman?
I don't think you're wrong defining it either way, but in my opinion, legally, he's a suspected gunman while they're finishing their investigation. Now, everyone knows that he's the shooter and he's probably going to be there, and I don't think it's wrong if you define him either way. I've called him the shooter just this morning, but technically under you'd call him a suspected shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Even our ABC reporter, Trevor Alt, called him the shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's passed away. People saw him. There's no question that he's going to turn out to be the shooter. But, I mean, during an investigation, I would still call him the suspected shooter.
So his family is cooperating, and I know that there are people who feel like he was somebody who was struggling with mental health issues. However, I think it's just tragic, right? So the fast food In-N-Out owners, the way he put it out on social media was this: my heart is broken, my chest is heavy, my eyes burn from the tears I've shed. So again, the owner is a she, my bad.
Yeah.
It's Lindsay Snyder. Okay, Lindsay, my apologies. But I think it's like In-N-Out is really popular when they open. And when they opened down in Utah County, the lines were, I swear they were hours long. Like people waited in line for 2 hours, it felt like. So it doesn't surprise me that there were a lot of people there and that there were hundreds of potential witnesses. And the FBI is asking for people to send in pictures, send in videos. I've seen some videos online where it's like, oh, well, yeah, it looks like that's the guy. I mean, he's carrying this big assault rifle.
Yeah, and I'm reading from some of the statements made by the Twin Falls Police Chief, Matthew Hicks. He's confident from what he's determined right now that this shooter acted alone. He's identified him as 24-year-old Chad Williams, indicated that in all 3 people died, 7 others were injured. And that he has also said that, as we talked about, we've talked about all of this, I think, an off-duty trooper and an armed citizen whose identities were not disclosed fired back and in the chief's mind diverted the gunman away from the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saved lives.
Saved lives, right, exactly, by being there. So Twin Falls is only about 56,000 people, right? And they have, maybe they have more than one, but they have at least one shopping area, and this is where that main shopping area is as you get off the highway to cross the bridge to go into Twin Falls. So again, it only opened on the 24th of July, so it opened on Pioneer Day.
Yeah.
And had only been open a week, right? A week and a day, I guess, when the shooter went to take lives.
My guess is, I mean, we don't know what his motivation was, but he probably targeted the place because it was so crowded.
Mm-hmm.
It was an easy,
yeah.
I mean, you just fire into a crowd
right.
and you just randomly,
right.
you're going to hit somebody, you're going
right.
to kill somebody. I mean, then he takes his own life. I mean, say what you want about people, just an act of pure cowardice. He maybe had some mental health conditions. His parents are sort of chiming in. You hope that they didn't buy him the gun or have some information that he was,
what the Associated Press is saying is they're cooperating fully.
Right.
So
good for them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we've known there are other cases where that hasn't been true. But again, it's not something you expect to see. I guess I'm still surprised by mass shootings, right? This one's not at a school. It's at an In-N-Out.
I think we'll learn a lot more. 24-year-old Chad Williams, I mean, nobody knows much about him. The family's probably giving a lot of information out. If he was angry at something or, broke up with a friend or who knows what's going on. I mean, and it's not important from the investigation point of view, but I think it's important for the public interest
mm-hmm.
point of view just to say, okay, what's going on for preventative measures? What do we do in the future if he's got mental health conditions, if he's looking on the internet, he's looking at certain
mm-hmm.
things, are there things that we can do so that this type of thing doesn't happen before? It's just, hindsight's 20/20, but you have something like this and you wonder how you can prevent it.
I think one of the things too that becomes a danger in these types of situations is to quote unquote blame mental health issues, because the reality is there are a lot of people who struggle with depression, anxiety, maybe even anger issues who are never going to pick up an assault rifle
Sure.
and go kill a bunch of people at a restaurant, right?
I agree, right.
And I've seen people online before say, hey, look, I've struggled with mental health issues my whole life. I'm not going to go shoot somebody. And and that they feel like it's unfairly targeting a group of people when we say, well, he was mentally ill.
No, I understand, and I appreciate that. I mean, I think just from my own experience, everybody has some level of mental condition. And so just to do something like this, to me, makes me think there was something going on with him at the time. There was something that was troubling him, mental health, whatever, personal issues, whatever. I mean, it's unfortunate 3 people died. We'll learn a lot more about it. It seems like the family's cooperating. Law enforcement has done an excellent job. And 2 people, again, I can't stress this enough, a citizen who was there, a state trooper who was off duty, both drew their weapons. I think we saw some footage of that, and they just fired back at him, and they diverted him away from the restaurant. I mean, he got out of there after that and then apparently killed himself. Yeah, so we'll, I'm sure, talk about what they find as they work on this investigation. But again, another tragedy unfolding. Bad way to start a Monday morning. In the next hour of Inside Sources, oh my goodness, it's been a pretty interesting weekend for the U.S. Department of Justice. So kind of fun and funny, but the Anti-Weaponization Fund is officially gone. It's officially in writing that it's over. And there's been some infighting between the president and the DOJ over alleged vandalism of the revamped reflecting pool. More on that coming up.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Utah tribal leaders met last week to discuss the largest issues facing Utah's Native American communities. Dustin Jansen, the director of Utah's Division of Indian Affairs, told KSL that some of the main issues discussed were water availability and economic development. Jansen says one of the main focuses on these tribal summits is to improve relationships between tribal governments and state governments. Jansen says he wants people to remember that Native American tribes aren't just a minority group, they are recognized governments. The Paiute Indian tribe of Utah is in a conflict with the town of Springville after they say the town accused them of trying to avoid paying property taxes on a hiking trail. The tribe says they were planning on putting the trail in a trust with the federal government, which means it would legally belong to the government, but the tribe would still be able to use the land and receive part of the proceeds if the land is sold. In the email from the town of Springdale, they warn that residents could lose access to the trail, something the tribe says is untrue. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The average price of gas nationwide remains above $4 a gallon as uncertainty grows in the Middle East. Here's Gas Buddy head of petroleum analysis Patrick DeHaan speaking with ABC News.
Some of the seasonality starting to factor in. Gasoline demand typically peaks in mid to late July, and demand softening now may add to the tailwinds of pushing prices lower. We haven't seen much in terms of a hurricane, and with lower oil prices now, we're seeing a little bit of relief.
Right now, the average price of gas in Utah is $4.24 a gallon. Spider-Man Brand New Day is officially the highest opening weekend at the box office ever. The movie tops the list for the all-time biggest domestic opening weekend. They revised it this morning, $360 million. That's more than Avengers Endgame, which made $357 million. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 533 points to 53,018. The NASDAQ up 490 points to 25,864. Coming up, it's going to be relatively cool compared to last weekend before we get super hot again this coming weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 10:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from Big Wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250. Say Mike Rowe and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250. Say Mike Rowe and let the savings begin.
Most families get their financial advice in pieces. A financial advisor here, a CPA there, an estate attorney somewhere else. Everyone means well, but nobody's talking to each other, and those gaps can work against you. Trajan Wealth's family office brings wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning together, not as separate conversations, but as one coordinated system built around your life, your goals, and the people who matter most. Ours is a true family office, not one that refers you out because it's convenient. This kind of dedicated collaboration used to require a 7-figure net worth, but here's the game changer. Trajan kicked that door open. Trajan advisors are fiduciaries, always obligated, always honored to act in your best interest. Unlock your Trajan family office at TrajanWealth.com or call 1-855-TRAJAN-1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. Here's Cormac Bone.
We've got no delays on I-15 between Ogden and Provo, but there is a disabled vehicle on southbound I-15 just before 106 South. They're in that right shoulder, so do be careful as you come through, come down toward Draper. Otherwise, it's regular delays to watch out for in Lehigh, eastbound 2100 North and Pioneer Crossing. Pretty heavy getting on to I-15. And do remember, southbound I-15, the ramp from South 15 to get off at 2100 North in Lehigh is closed right now for construction. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we're looking at highs of only the low 90s today and tomorrow. By mid-90s Wednesday, high 90s Thursday, and then up over triple digits again Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's the forecast right now. High of 90 today. We're at 78 degrees already in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche might finally have enough support to move ahead in the confirmation process, as this morning, 2 Republican senators who were holding out on confirming Blanche say they will support him.
You know, this has really gone back and forth, Holly, because the last thing we heard over the weekend was that Trump was considering pulling that nomination because he didn't think he had the support.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think broke the deal is that Blanche has said that he will kill the anti-weaponization fund, and he said, I'm going to put it in writing. I'm going to write it down. We will not pursue this anti-weaponization fund.
And
that was
did.
something. Yeah, that was something that was driving him nuts. Like, and they even said, "Are you going to pull away from that?" Well, you know, I'll do this, I'll do that. He finally decided, yeah, I'm going to do it, and he wants that nomination. Obviously, he's going to work hard to get it, and so he was also Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer when he was charged during the Biden administration. So people have been concerned about that as well.
Well, and he still couldn't even. Do you remember when he was being questioned? They asked him what his relationship was with the president, and he said, "I'm his personal attorney." And then he corrected himself and says, "Well, I was his personal attorney." But they did. He did put it in writing that it's officially dead. I mean, I don't know. It's Washington, D.C. Is anything ever really dead? But as an attorney, for you, like looking at this, what difference does that make to give a verbal guarantee versus written?
Zero.
Okay.
I mean, he can
Really?
say whatever he wants. He can reinstate it tomorrow or the day after, and they'll say, "Hey, you said you wouldn't do that." He'll say, "Yeah, well, I changed my mind."
Times change.
And, and another thing that I don't think the Senate's considering is Trump doesn't care. I mean, about that. But please don't jump on me about Trump. But he's saying, "I like the fund. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to pursue it." So
Yeah.
that $1.776 billion fund is certainly not off the table. Blanche wants the nomination. He's going to say whatever he needs to get through that nomination process. They had the two lame duck senators, the Republicans, Cornyn and Tillis, who are saying, hey, I don't think we can support him. I mean, he's still got to get through the body.
The full Senate,
right.
This is just the committee. But I watched over the weekend as there were some nasty Truth Social posts made by the president towards these two Republican senators. And you mentioned that he said he would pull that nomination and leave him as the acting attorney general until these two left office, and then he would do it again when he would be immediately confirmed.
Yeah, but when they leave office, it'll be January, won't it?
Yeah.
It'll
be January.
The Senate may have a different look by then. Who knows? I mean, Trump wants to get this done now, and it sounds like he probably will. I'm a little surprised that the main body, that there's not a single Republican that doesn't have concern about this attorney general nominee. He's certainly better than his predecessor. Let's face it. You couldn't pick a worse attorney general than Pam Bondi. So, and he acted as her, he was her number 2, I think, in the office. So when she left, he became the acting AG. He's a lawyer. He's a trial lawyer. He's done criminal work. He's been a prosecutor. I mean, he checks all the boxes in terms of being a good attorney general. He's just got some baggage in terms of his close association with the administration. You would expect
it's the weaponization part too, right? It's the using the DOJ as the president's club, I guess, to go after people he doesn't like.
Yeah, and of course he can still do what he wants. I mean, who knows where he's going to go once he's the attorney general? He's got very few guardrails, except just, as we'll talk about in the next segment, just common sense, and you still have to win your cases. You can't just file things. But I mean, I have personal concerns about this, although I would say that he is a skilled lawyer, and if he wants to be a good attorney general, he can probably be a very good one. But if he wants to continue to consider himself the president's personal lawyer, he won't be a good attorney general because that's not his role.
So there are already people online saying, look, he said, okay, we're rescinding this this anti-weaponization fund, but it still leaves the door open for people involved in the January 6th incidences to be paid through another fund, right? So it also fails to address some of the key points on Trump's IRS immunity deal. And there are, I was trying to find who said it, but there was at least one other Republican senator, not on the committee, but in the general body, who's like, I'm not going to bet my house on him actually being confirmed.
Yeah, and let's talk about the immunization.
Immunity,
yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. They're similar.
Robert Kennedy's driving me nuts same time. So, but there was a part of this package that would have given the Trump family immunity from the IRS, which is, again, we talk about immunity and people giving each other immunity. We've taken that to a level both parties have, admittedly, into that was probably never intended to go. I can understand the president, giving people, pardons and that type of thing for good deeds they've done since they were convicted. But giving somebody immunity on the front end for something so they don't even get prosecuted is something that I find troubling. Just as a former prosecutor myself, if the governor had told me, hey, you can't prosecute that person because I've just granted him immunity, even though he did something really bad, you would think, well, that's not what the criminal justice system is supposed to work for.
Right. Well, it keeps the tax immunity for the president, for his sons, and the Trump organization, actually. So, look, it looks like the committee hearing is scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow, which would be 7 a.m. our time. And that it looks now like he's going to get out of the committee, and then he will have to be confirmed in front of the whole Senate. But they're getting ready to leave town, remember, and they'll be gone all the rest of this month, and then they'll come back really briefly in September, and then they'll be gone for campaign season.
And he could probably withstand one Republican going sideways on him, but two may be a problem.
Yeah,
he's got to have a majority, and that may be another one where, I mean, it doesn't do the administration any good to say, well, we'll just wait until the new Senate's voted in, because it will certainly be closer the Democrats may not be a majority, but my guess is they'll be closer in numbers than they are now, even if it's just 1 or 2 seats.
So, just speaking of that election, do you know that there are still primary elections to be had?
Yeah, I know.
There's
Michigan's
multiple
got a big one
tomorrow. There's multiple tomorrow, and I think Kansas and Missouri also. There are multiple the next week, which is August 11th, and then the last 2 states are Alaska and Wyoming, and they'll be having their primary on August 18th. It feels like just a few weeks before the general election.
Yeah,
in
those
November.
poor election clerks and the
I
election
know.
personnel there are like, they can't
I
even
know.
print ballots yet. They don't know who's going to be on the ballot.
So there are some problems. Some problematic candidates. So we'll see how that all plays out. But you're right. I mean, what I'm seeing still is the House. Pretty much, most people have said the Republicans are going to lose the House. It's going to flip, and it's going to be under Democratic control. The question is, what happens with the Senate, right? So, yeah, even if it's 49-51, I mean, it's slightly more than that right now. But even if it's that and Republicans maintain control, but then you have the split, you can get some people confirmed from the president's nominations, but you're going to have a really hard time getting any actual legislation passed, especially if it's pretty far to one side or the other.
Yeah, well, and we still have the filibuster and that replies to the Senate in terms of getting.
Well, and our own senators are split on that, and John Curtis says absolutely no way am I going to do away with the filibuster.
Yeah, we talked about that last week as well. Yeah. Well, next up on Inside Sources, let's stick with the DOJ and talk about some new infighting between the Department of Justice and President Trump over the reflecting pool. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia has dropped the vandalism case against a former Olympian, which claimed that he had damaged the pool. Now the president's not very happy about that. We'll talk about that decision when we come back.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either. Because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself and Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, where he can get a battery for under $100. Lonnie, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge, and Lonnie does that for free too. In no time at all, John is back on the road, ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I pushed through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlock all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
the ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
where survival,
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
So we're learning this morning that the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia has dropped all charges against a former Olympic athlete who was charged with damaging the recently remodeled reflecting pool in Washington, D.C. The president is not happy about that.
I think it's kind of funny. So look, you have to go where the evidence takes you. According to the DOJ, right now, the evidence of vandalism is just not there. The department says the liner of the pool was installed incorrectly, which, of course, is what we have been seeing for now a number of weeks.
Yeah, and I think everybody assumed that was going to be the case. But David Hearn, a 67-year-old former Olympic canoeist, was indicted on felony charges after Jeanine Pirro, the top federal prosecutor in D.C., who was appointed by Donald Trump, who's a longtime ally of Donald Trump, said that they just didn't have the evidence to prove this. In fact, that what she said was that it was probably the result of poor. What does she say? That they did a botched installation by the contractor.
So he posted on the president posted on social media and said that while there may have been some contractor difficulty, the major damage was caused by vandals, all caps, right? I disagree 100% with Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, on the reflecting pool. So I wonder how many days more she has in that role.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that, she's clearly an ally of his and filed this case in the first place, which was not the best decision. Although I'm assuming that it went through the grand jury process and that she was just following the evidence at the time. A lot of times I try to talk about things like this and people think I'm bashing the president. I'm not. I'm looking at this from a criminal justice perspective. And when a prosecutor, no matter who appointed her, no matter which party appointed her, no matter what her angle is in terms of trying to be respectful or even supportive of the president, says, I cannot win this case, the evidence isn't there. It's inappropriate to criticize that because the prosecutor ultimately has to take this in front of a jury of 12 and win. And if you can't do that, if you look yourself in the mirror and say, I cannot win this case, you have no choice but to say, I'm going to pull the plug and I'm going to dismiss the charges. So, that's the ethical thing to do.
So one of the things that Pirro's done, right, and as you've mentioned, she's a big supporter of the president, which is why she's in the role she's in. She claimed that the government's case was built on, and this is her original filing, tremendous evidence when she announced the indictment against her last month. And then in the more recent court filing, the one that was just filed on Friday, she blamed the Interior Department, and she said had the Department of the Interior been forthcoming with the information clearly in its possession, the government would not have sought a grand jury indictment.
Yeah.
So she doesn't think she can win that case.
No, she can't. And they don't even think they would have pursued an indictment. So what happened was this Olympic athlete was there. His name is Davy Hearn, former canoeist. He's there, and he pulls up a piece of the lining that was all falling apart there.
Well, he didn't pull it off the bottom. He lifted it out of the water.
Right. And so they were like, oh, he just destroyed it. But Trump said something like somebody took a knife and just went down the whole part of the pool with some sharp object. There was no evidence of that.
That didn't happen.
But I mean, somebody was clearly, there was a mistake. Something happened to cause this pool to go the way it did. The administration saying, look, our contractors were great. This was a result of vandalism. And it
was a no-bid contract too, by the way.
I know. It was a very controversial contract. It would be hard to imagine somebody coming in and just destroying it just to do that, although anything's possible. But I think you follow the evidence. The prosecutors now looked at it and said, look, this was a bad contracting job. The pool should have never been done the way it was. Let's try to fix it, and let's not blame anybody for vandalism, because let's face it, this was not the result of vandalism. This was the result of a bad contractor who didn't know what they were doing, probably.
And so there's multiple different things, right? One is it was trying to be a rush job because they were trying to get ready for the 250th anniversary on July 4th. It was a much larger job than this contractor had ever done before. And then if you remember, there's some video of, what would it be, the motorcade driving through the middle of the pool before things had even set. So I'm guessing that could be a part of it too. And then when the blue peeled off, because it was supposed to be this beautiful American blue, it started turning gray, brown, something not attractive. And it grew algae right away because it warmed the water and provided a very comfortable environment for algae to grow. So this did not work out well.
Yeah, and the administration wanted to resurface the pool, make it more of a reflecting pool. They thought that the cost would be about $2 million. It'd be finished in 2 weeks. It actually ended up costing more than $14 million. It took 6 weeks, and people were concerned about what was going on with it. Then, if you recall, there was an algae outbreak, and so they put some, they were doing, I think, hydrogen peroxide or something. Peroxide, which of
dumping
course
it in on the
lifted
side.
all the
on the side.
I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened. It was just a poor arrangement of, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to bid to fix a pool because I don't know how to do it. And these people apparently didn't either. A lot of money spent, a lot of money wasted because now you've just got to do it again.
Yeah, you have to do it again and hopefully the right way. But the Hearn legal team is like, this isn't over, and they're considering legal action for remedies. So let me ask you, what could they pursue?
Well, I mean, you can always look at prosecutorial misconduct or governmental issues. Of course, there's a high level of what we call governmental immunity. They're going to have a hard time with that. Besides, a grand jury actually voted to indict, so you're not going to sue the grand jury.
But you already said you can indict a ham sandwich.
You can indict a ham sandwich, and this is a perfect example of that. Well, I think what they would want to look at is this. Was there evidence presented to the grand jury that the Department of Justice knew wasn't correct? That they knew was that they were just doing it to support an indictment? So, I mean, you have to present the grand jury evidence like you are at a preliminary hearing, like, hey, we've got this, we've got that, we think this guy did it. If they've got something more than he happened to be at the pool lifting up a piece of this lining that had come loose, let's hear it. But if ultimately, I think the government's going to say, well, we just follow the evidence. The grand jury heard the evidence and they said to indict, and now we've decided we can't. But it's helpful, I think, for this Olympian to have this case dismissed by U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro because she is one of Trump's biggest allies. I mean, he could not have picked a more favorable prosecutor. And the District of Columbia has a U.S. attorney, which is In Utah, that would be the district attorney, the U.S. attorney, and the attorney general.
Wow.
I mean, that it sort of serves all those roles in the District of Columbia because the feds are the prosecuting and investigating agency for the state. So it's a very high level position for the District of Columbia to be the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, because there is no county attorney, there is no
right.
U.S. state attorney general. It's not a state, county.
So I also think it's interesting that so she blamed the Department of the Interior, and that's Doug Burgum, and he said, well, no, we gave you accurate information. It really was vandalism. And I'm like, you guys, I mean...
No, it wasn't vandalism.
There's no evidence to support that claim. There really isn't. There really isn't.
He wrote on X, though, the evidence is clear. Vandalism damaged the pool. And we're also looking at this. The Washington Post is claiming that they had satellite imagery of photos and videos taken in June during the renovation and found that it was peeling, probably due to application errors, supported by experts in waterproofing materials. And so, again, this is not over, sadly, for everybody. I mean, this poor Olympian's been through heck, and he wants an apology at the very least. His attorneys want some money. Neither of those are likely to occur, and I don't think the administration is going to walk away and say, hey, this was our own error by getting the wrong contractor for the job. So who knows where this is going to go.
Well, one thing that Hearn did say is it's unsettling to feel like I'm being targeted by my own government. It's like, yeah, that's fair.
Had to be.
All right. Okay, it's finally August, and that means it's back to school season. And if you go to the craft stores, it means it's Christmas. I don't even know about that. So all week long on Inside Sources, we're talking about ways to get prepared for the new school year. And after the break, we're going to start with a discussion on how to get your kids mentally and physically ready to head back to the classroom. So stay with us.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Utah's governor says our resources are now being stretched thin due to all the wildfires burning around the state. Governor Spencer Cox says our firefighters are now facing catastrophic conditions, and this week could pose more health problems or more problems with more hot and dry weather in the forecast. The governor is urging Utahns again to take steps to prevent wildfires, including not dragging chains, parking over dry grass, or ignoring other restrictions. A few smaller fires started up this weekend in Honeyville. The Calls Fort Road fire started up just off I-15 near Calls Fort Road. It burned about a quarter of an acre and was contained within a few hours. The Winklebob fire started up on Cove Mountain near the Winklebob Trail. As of last update, Utah Fire Info said it was 3 acres, and crews were working to keep it from spreading. A storage unit in Hurricane caught on fire this weekend. It was the Parker Storage Units, about 415 North State Street. 8 units were damaged by the fire. 6 others only had minor damage to the items inside. The cause is still under investigation. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Officials are scrambling to safeguard the nation's water supplies after Iranian cyber attacks.
The hackers change passwords, leaving the utilities blind, or they disable alarms, allowing wastewater systems to enter unsafe conditions undetected. And this is exactly what intelligence officials feared would happen from the moment the U.S. began its buildup of forces in the Gulf. Now the FBI is urging utilities to disconnect from the internet or revert to manual controls if automated systems are compromised.
ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky reporting. Your money at this moment. The Dow's up 537 points today to 53,022, and the Nasdaq's up 528 points since the opening bell to 25,903. Coming up, our weather is going to be cool for what we've been through recently, but still in the 90s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Guaranteed. Well, thanks to Xfinity, you don't have to worry about that part of your future now through August 24th. Get their best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats and finds and fixes issues before you even notice them. No annual contracts or commitments, no hidden fees, and the best equipment included. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that.
The truck just arrived at Gillette Services, and so did the savings. Gillette has a load of new Carrier air conditioners for an amazing price. Get a new Carrier air conditioner starting at just $34.95. That's $1,500 off while inventory lasts. Save big with a trusted family-owned company and enjoy expert installation from Utah's largest Carrier dealer and 8-time President's Choice Award winner. Call 385-273-6628 or visit GilletteServices.com before these truckload savings are gone.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
Progressive's Home Quote Explorer helps you easily find and buy the right coverage for you. It's everything you've always wanted. Well, I mean, as far as a website that lets you shop, quote, and buy insurance in one place. But hey, maybe that is everything you've always wanted. Yeah, people have different types of dreams. And if all you've ever been searching for is a website that helps you choose home insurance rates and coverage, boy, do we have great news about Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Go back to Cormac Bone in the traffic center.
Right now, no delays or accidents on I-15. Even the disabled vehicle cleared up near 106 South, so it's looking really good on all our major freeways. Some regular delays to expect. Both directions of 90th South, pretty congested approaching I-15. And in Lehigh, eastbound 2100 North, the regular scattered slowdowns from Redwood Road over to I-15. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, looking for the highs in the low 90s today and tomorrow, mid-90s on Wednesday, high 90s on Thursday, and then the triple digits through the weekend starting on Friday with a high of 102. We're looking for a high of 90 is all today, and we're already at 79 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Back to school. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Well, I'll say that sounds a little dramatic, but the school year is just around the corner. In fact, my daughter is a teacher, and she starts next week. So maybe if you're a parent, you're itching to get the kids out of the house, or you're a little bit sad. But either way, it's back to school.
Yeah, and that means it's time to prepare all week long on Inside Sources. Every day at 10:30 this week, we're going to go in-depth on how to get ready for a new school year. Today, we're going to kick things off with a conversation on physical and mental health preparation.
So to help us get started, we're joined by Dr. Johanna Vernon, a pediatrician at Ogden Clinic. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to start right off with just a couple of questions, because as I've sent kids back to school or to school for the first time, for me, it feels super different to send a kindergartner or a first grader versus I'm this year sending one to junior high for her first year, or even the high schoolers. So can you just break down maybe what's important to know as you send your kids the first time, and then maybe as they go to junior high and they're jumping up a level?
Well, one of the most challenging parts, even as I've been a parent sending my kids off to school is getting them on a good sleep schedule.
Right.
Because the summer gets totally thrown off. It doesn't get dark until 10 p.m. And then kids have to get up early to go to school and everything gets thrown off. And sleep requirements are different for each age group, as well as the different sleep-wake cycles change for every age group as well. So there are some great resources, actually some great projects that the state of Utah has done, different health departments have done to talk about getting healthy sleep for different age groups. Davis County Health Department did a great project where if you access their resources online, it gives you good tips and tricks on sleep for not only for kids, but parents, because I think the parents need to get back on a regular sleep schedule too. And the Southwest Utah Public Health Foundation also did some good sleep initiatives just this year. So those are some great resources and tips that'll give you good tips and tricks on how to get your kids back to their regular sleep schedules.
Dr. Vernon, talk to us about kids who are going into a school that they haven't been before, either because they moved into a new area or they're just transitioning from grade school to junior high, and that sort of that apprehension that, whoa, I'm walking into an environment that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. What can parents do for those kids?
Yeah, so that is something very stressful. And Holly, you mentioned that you have a child going into junior high, and that transition is one of the hardest, I think.
I agree.
Where we're going from just having one teacher and the same classmates to switching around, and it's a different schedule. So make sure that you're communicating with your kids and touching base with them before and after school and seeing if their communication changes, if their mood is changing, if they're acting out, things like that. And every school has a school counselor. If you start noticing some of those changes in your kids, reach out to the school and see if there's some resources there that can help your kids make those adjustments, because those are big changes. But the one thing I love about kids is they're super resilient and they do such a good job in adjusting to new environments. But make sure you're checking in with them pretty frequently.
What are some of your top tips for physical health outside of sleep? Which, by the way, I've known all the tips and nothing ever worked.
It's true. And I think the way we're doing things is so different now because we've got so much with electronics and things like that, that it's hard to get your kids to go outside and play and exercise, especially when we're having extreme heat like we're having now. So just really encouraging even just 20 minutes a day. Let's go outside. Let's go for a family walk. Eating healthy breakfasts and lunches, especially just to keep our energy levels up during the day. Really encouraging kids to eat breakfast is really hard because in the morning it's chaos and it's a rush. But even if they can get, a little protein shake or something in them so that they can function their best during the day, and it'll give them the energy so that they have that physical ability to get through the day, especially the first few weeks of school.
Dr. Vernon, I thought one of the things that helped me personally as a kid in going back to school, and I'm just wondering your take on this, was my parents in the weeks leading up to that, we would go and get some new clothes or get a new pencil box or get some things, a slide ruler. You probably don't remember those. But, things that were like, okay, I'm sort of looking forward to using this or wearing this and maybe going back to school had some positives. Do you encourage that type of thing?
I think that's super fun. And I think that's what gets kids excited about going to school. I have one going to college and one going into sophomore year of high school. And so that's one thing I'm going to miss is they're not interested in back to school shopping with mom. But especially for elementary school kids, that is what is so exciting, taking them to the store and buying new school supplies. And I think that really engages them and gets them excited to go back to school.
So just to your point, I was in a store over the weekend and there was a mom and she had two little girls. They might have been twins, and they both were carrying brand new backpacks on their back, and they had a bag of school supplies, and they were just really excited to be walking out of the store with their brand new backpack and their school supplies.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. So I guess one final question from me is, how during the school year, how can parents solicit maybe actual information from their kids besides just saying, hey, how was your school day? Because I feel like I get the answer fine, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's so funny because each kid is so different. I only have the 2 kids, and they are polar opposites. One will overshare and one undershares. But I think it's really important to kind of, as much as you can, because lives get really busy, have a set meal, if it's dinner, if it's a snack after school, where you sit down and engage with your kids. And even if your kid is not wanting to share, just that contact allows that open space for communication so that they feel comfortable and connected with you, that if something is going on, they will be able to open up to you and feel that it's a safe space to talk.
It is a difficult time for kids, Dr. Vernon. We've only got a minute left, but if you just to give some advice to parents coming back to school, what do you think that they lack? What do you think parents are doing maybe not as well as they could in getting a kid ready to go back to school?
I think the biggest thing is our lives are so busy. I think we're driving kids around to sports, which is amazing and awesome, but we're constantly in the car and on the go and on our electronics. And I think even if you just take 15 minutes a day to connect with your kids and to have one-on-one time, I think that helps that parent-child interaction. And I think that helps not only the kids' mental health, but I think it helps parents too.
All right, that was Dr. Johanna Vernon, a pediatrician at Ogden Clinic. Holly, what did you learn? Because you've got a kid going to starting junior high in a couple weeks.
I think for me to be to be more conscious about being proactive at the conversations that I have with her.
That was my hardest transition. Yeah, was from
junior high. Junior high is rough.
Very hard.
It is. It's rough.
If I had a downtime in my life, that was it.
And my daughter teaches junior high, so shout out to her.
It's a tough crew. Well, let's stay with our back to school coverage, and after the break, let's talk about ways you can help your kids get excited for learning and reading, even in a world that seems to have endless screen time. We'll talk about that on Inside Sources after this.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and I've been a fan of Hale Center Theater from the very beginning. But there is something about this season that is just off the charts. Maybe it's due to the 3 stages now, which accommodate an amazing variety. Take, for example, showing right now on the Beehive stage, Thornton Wilder's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel and Tony Award-winning play is an absolute must-see. It's Our Town. This is a touching story focusing on 2 families in a small town, the sorrows, the joys, the reflections of lives well lived. And then, coming up, we've got Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The music, the staging, the pure fun of it makes Joseph an all-time favorite. And in mid-August, it's Moriarty. This is the time for you to lock down your tickets for all of the wonderful productions at Hale Center Theater. And all you have to do is go to hct.org.
Salt Lake City, get ready for a brand new summer tradition. Join thousands at the Utah State Capitol on Saturday, August 22nd for the inaugural Capitol 5. Choose a scenic 5-mile run or a fun 1-mile Capitol walk. Then stick around for the Capitol Festival featuring live music, food trucks, family activities, and local vendors. Plus, don't miss the spectacular opening ceremony with a massive American flag unfurling over the Capitol grounds. Run, walk, celebrate. Register today at thecapitol5.com.
Summer gave us vacations, backyard cookouts, afternoons by the pool, and memories we'll be talking about for years. But it also gave our homes muddy footprints, food spills, pet accidents, everything that comes with a summer well lived. Before everyone settles back into school and busy fall routines, give your home the summer send-off it deserves with Zero-Res carpet and air ducts cleaning. Using patented technology instead of sticky soaps or harsh chemicals, Zero-Res cleans carpets and air ducts the right way. That means carpets stay cleaner longer, dry in hours instead of days, and it's safe for kids, pets, and your HVAC system. Upgrade your 3-room special for free. You get a 4th room clean for free with your 3-room special when you use code UPGRADE. You'll also get 20% off air duct cleaning with code DUCT20. Keep the summer memories. Get rid of the summer messes with Zero-Res. Call 866-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroRes.com. Spelled the same forwards or backwards. Zero-Res is the right way to clean.
Hi, how can I help?
Well, my husband and I feel like we've outgrown our current money manager.
I see.
Our lives have changed, and we need something more than just mutual funds to help us in retirement.
She's right.
I hear that often. At Fisher Investments, we'd start by getting to know you, your finances, family, health, lifestyle. We tailor a portfolio around your goals and needs.
Sounds good.
Can you help with estate planning?
Yes. We have a team of specialists who can help you with estate planning, Social Security, investment income, and more. We'll get to know your whole financial picture and help keep you on the path to a comfortable retirement.
And your fees?
We have a simple, transparent fee that's a percentage of the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
I feel better already.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com/different. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Every year, thousands of Utahns head into the backcountry to hike, camp, hunt, fish, and explore some of the most beautiful landscapes in the country. And every year, Utah search and rescue teams respond to hundreds of emergencies, many of which could have been prevented. A sudden storm, a wrong turn, dehydration on a trail that looked easy on the map. Things can change fast out there, but a few simple steps before you go can make all the difference. Check the weather, pack extra water, wear the right gear, know your route, and tell someone where you're headed. Preparation doesn't take the adventure out of Utah. It makes sure you come home to talk about it. This message brought to you by the Utah Search and Rescue Assistance Program. Learn more at rescue.utah.gov.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness,
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
a place where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources.
Back to school. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
It does sound a bit ominous, doesn't it? But, after having a few months off, it's time to get back in the groove for school. It's starting this month for most kids. And some kids take their take the summer break to get their mind away from that. But it's not uncommon to take a mental break from school, and maybe it's time to start getting back into it.
Well, one of the things that we have been missing, and I'm seeing more and more news stories about, is the decrease in actual reading. So there's just a few weeks until the first day of school. And I wanted to talk about reading and what we can do to help our kids turn their brains back on. Reading will help with that.
Oh, no, I think it makes all the difference in the world. And I'll just talk some things that have occurred to me. When I was in school, I was a math geek, and it was a total math geek. And people who weren't good at math said, that's when we invented calculators. And so people said, why do you need to know math when you get a calculator?
Right.
And I think some people are thinking the same thing now about reading.
Yeah.
Because you have AI, you have screens, you can literally talk into something, and you don't need to read. You can just plug a button and it will tell you, you will tell you what somebody just said to you. I still think, even with the advent of calculators, you've got to learn math. You've got to learn basic math skills. And I think absolutely more than ever, I believe sincerely, reading is probably one of the most important things a young person can learn to do.
It's interesting to me because we raised a family of readers, and Jazzy still reads physical paper books, but less so than some of the older siblings. So we were camping this last week, and my daughter who came, she's 30, she brought a great big, thick, like 500 or 600 page book to read while we were up there. And even though she didn't spend a ton of time on it, one of the things that is important in teaching your kids to read is showing them that you also love to read.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a huge consumer of books, and I've slowed down a little but I was going through 75 to 100 books a year for a number of years. Now I'm closer to 50 because I also listen to so many podcasts, but I love reading. I've always loved reading.
You know, my wife did something where she would read when the Harry Potter books were coming out. She and her son would each read a book, the latest book that came out, and then they would talk about it. And so
like
they
a book club.
shared that. I thought that was such a great idea. I'll say this. I had a good friend in high school and college who was a little bit younger than me who never learned to read. I mean, it's hard to imagine that. Smart kid, good kid, never learned to read, and that was a hurdle he never overcame.
Yeah.
I mean, it haunted him as an adult in the worst ways you could imagine. And so, and I don't blame his parents. I don't blame the school. I kind of just blame a little bit of everyone, including myself. I could have taught the kid how to read. I you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We should have all jumped in and done something. He ended up, having a terrible life. And I think a part of it was because he never learned how to read. I'm looking at 6 screens in front of me, and I can literally read them all. And because you can absorb so much information, so much is coming at you at different times. Reading is so critical to learning, to the whole process.
So there are a number of things that are different, and I think I've told you a lot of the way I consume books now is through audio. I listen to them. But there are still advantages to reading paper books. And one of the advantages is that it forces your brain to slow down. Like you can't, like how many times in college did you have to reread the same page? Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's just me.
No, absolutely.
Because I got to the end of the page. I'm like, I have no idea what I just read. And then you go back and you have to do it again. Maybe you read out loud.
No, that reminds me of 3 years of law school. I'd get through a case and I'd think, I don't even have any idea what I just read.
Yeah. So you don't skim, like what screens I think teach our kids are this instant hit, and we're going to get just this rapid stuff. In fact, we know how people consume news now is changing to video with captions, because sometimes you don't even have the sound on. And you'll get people who maybe go through the first 6 seconds or the first 10 seconds. And then they think they've got the story and on they go, right? That is not teaching kids some of even the critical thinking skills. So I've seen some things online on a screen where teachers are like, I don't feel like I can assign an entire book for my class because they'll go to the Cliff Notes. They won't read the actual book, right? And you and I have talked about what books did you read in high school that everybody had to read? I remember reading The Scarlet Letter. Everybody had to read The Scarlet Letter.
Right, yeah.
Right? So there's some books that are part, I think, of the cultural lexicon where I think that's going away because teachers feel like they can't get the kids in their classrooms to read.
Right. And AI is not going to help that at all.
No.
I don't think. But it has to. I mean, you can't drive a car without being able to read. You can't look at road signs. You can't look at speed limit signs. You can't read a map. You can't, even if it's on your GPS. I mean, you have to be able to understand those things so you know, how do you go to a store and shop? I mean, it's basic. It's basic. I guess I'm harping on it enough, and I'll back off because I was lucky and my children were lucky, but we all learned how to read, and it's sort of second nature. You don't even think about it. But for those that don't or struggle with reading, it can be a lifelong problem.
So one of my sons, and you know that we've adopted kids of all different ages, but one of my sons was not a reader until seriously like his senior year in high school. And I will tell you that he found lots of workarounds. So he was in special education specifically for reading. And I would go and I would say, he does not know how to read. And they're like, no, he does. I'm like, no, he's trained you to jump in because he'll start. And we always give clues, right? We give clues when we're reading and, we let the kids fill in the word, whatever it is. They were jumping in to assist him. And he had figured out how to game the system in a way he didn't actually know how to read.
Yeah.
But even his special ed teachers were like, yeah, he doesn't. Like, no, he really doesn't. But he finally realized, like you were saying, that it was such a disadvantage to not be able to read that he finally figured it out. But he won't read for pleasure. He doesn't read for fun, right? He reads out of necessity. And I would say his vocabulary is not that high.
And I love reading. I love reading for pleasure. I love reading a book. I mean, my wife bought me these tablets and listen. You can somebody will read to you while you're driving your car. It drives me nuts. I want to sit down. I want to open up a book that has pages made out of paper and read them. I mean, to me, that is one of the most comforting things you can do. It's one of the most peaceful things you can do. Even if it's just a magazine, and we don't even have newspapers anymore.
I think you can fall in love with reading. And, one of the things that reading does is it lets you experience things that you haven't done in your life. This can be fiction, nonfiction, whatever, right? But you can learn from books. Like Harry Potter is total fiction, but our kids love to read them. In fact, they loved it so much that when the newest books would come out, I'd show up at midnight so that I could buy the book. Yeah. And I had one child who was a voracious reader. He's the one that works for Google now. He still reads a ton. And I swear he would have those gigantic books finished in less than 24 hours. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't sleep. He just read, right? And his kids now are readers. But I think we're missing out on some of that when we have gone to screens. In fact, I'm looking at a Washington Post opinion piece that talks about walking into a second grade classroom and the teacher doesn't have the kids on the little carpet mats reading a book to them. It's a computer reading a book to them. And sometimes it's the physical book and you turn the pages but it's still on a screen. Right? And you don't have that interaction. You don't have the ability to have the kids say, "Oh, James and the Giant Peach," right? I mean, that was one I remember from my childhood and my kids' childhood because I read it to them too. It was really a fun story.
Yeah, we were lucky. We all learned to read and we enjoy it. I do have one problem in that I cannot sit and read a book. I mean, I can, but I'll end up reading the whole thing and it messes me up. I read short stories, periodicals, magazines, newspaper when they used to have them. I cannot read something unless I can finish it in one sitting. So I'm bad that way.
Interesting.
My wife does not buy me books anymore.
That is really,
unless they have really defined chapters and I can read chapter 1. You know what I mean? Like I can get through a segment of it. And otherwise I got to read the whole book and it drives me nuts.
All right, look. I've been saying this is a pivot, but look, the data backs me up. People are becoming less and less trustful of our elections just in time for the midterms. So in the next hour of Inside Sources, I want to talk about some specific concerns about election integrity and the democratic process. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top story this hour. We've got breaking news. Fire crews have ordered the evacuation of those in the Reeder subdivision in Emery County because of the Black Canyon fire burning 16 miles east of Ephraim. The county sheriff's office says the wind forecast is expected to push the fire at county border towards the subdivision. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Holdout Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis say they will vote to advance Todd Blanche's nomination for Attorney General. Overnight, Blanche formally rescinded the order that established a so-called anti-weaponization fund as part of President Trump's settlement with the IRS. ABC News legal contributor and Hofstra law professor James Sample says that may not be the end of it.
This weaponization fund will probably be the Lazarus of funds, which is to say it may be dead now, but I suspect it will be coming back to life, especially once Todd Blanche gets confirmed, if in fact he does.
Taking a look at local news, inmates at the Utah State Correctional Facility completed a half marathon, and now they're training for a full. KSL News Radio's Spencer Mahone has the story.
The men's running club at the Utah State Correctional Facility started back in late 2024 with the hopes of developing good habits that can be used once inmates are released. Josh Lofton with the Utah Department of Corrections says the inmates can earn the privilege to be part of the group and get all the mental and physical benefits of the sport as well. Their latest benchmark was the 13.1 mile distance around an exercise yard, but the group is also looking to complete a full marathon in November.
Lofton also says this program gives them confidence that they can have beyond the prison walls. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got green across the board. The Dow Jones is up 484 points. That's nearly 1%. The S&P 500 is up 97 points. That's 1.3%. The NASDAQ up 506 points. That's 2%. And oil is down $5 a barrel. Coming up, it's going to be a little cooler today before we launch back into the hundreds. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000. Or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
I'm really interested to hear about how your parents talk to you at home, and how do you think they can kind of break through to you?
It's just to talk about it. It's just seriously it's going to be awkward at first. But if you keep repeating it over and over again, it's just going to feel natural.
Keep going, and soon we'll just be able to talk about it.
Talking about mental health with your teens is the power of we in action. Visit intermountainhealth.org/teen mental health.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
No major issues or delays on all our freeways across the Wasatch Front. I-80 also clean and clear between Summit and Tooele counties. We do have a disabled vehicle northbound Bangerter Highway as you go over the 201 freeway. They're out of traffic and in that left shoulder, not really causing any delays, but just be careful as you get around them so they can work on that safely. At UTA, it's never just a ride from point A to point B. We move independence, we move purpose, we move memories, we move what matters. You. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, the high is going to be 90, but that respite from 100-degree temperatures won't last long as we go back into the hundreds for the weekend with a low chance of rain on Sunday. Right now, though, it's 80 degrees and fair. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We've been talking about this for a while now. The efforts to discredit our election system will and does have a negative effect. And excuse me, and now we have the data from Gallup that backs us up on that. A large number of Americans, and I mean large, are worried about the upcoming 2026 midterms.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of Americans' top concerns involve political leaders actually pressuring election officials to change election outcomes, ballots not being handled correctly or not being counted properly, voter intimidation near polling places, things that cast real doubt on the election midterms, which are, 2 months away? 3 months away.
3, yeah. So look, I think it's important, we've talked about this before, is when doubt is cast on election integrity, election security, then it actually suppresses the vote. People don't show up to vote if they don't feel like their vote is going to count or if they don't feel like it's going to matter. And so, for my Utah Policy newsletter, I end up looking for a number of the day every day. And so I looked today at Gallup, and I also look at Pew Research, and there's several other places. But this really stood out to me because it's 67% are concerned that a political leader will pressure election officials to change election outcomes. That is huge. Those are huge numbers to me.
And it's because we've seen that. We've seen pressure from our leaders pressuring elections officials, and that's something you'd never seen before. I think some people have done a very good job of putting a lot of doubt in the integrity of our election process that didn't exist 10 years ago. I mean, I never recall in my lifetime being concerned about the results of an election.
Yeah.
Even before we had a lot of the
whether
technology.
You win or not win,
right,
you trusted the outcome. Yeah.
Right. And now we don't. And now that's the scariest number of all, the one you just read. People are concerned about all kinds of things, but the one that the leading concern people have about election integrity is political leaders pressuring election officials to change the election outcomes.
Yep.
I mean, that gives you all kinds of concern about the quality of and the integrity of your election.
So people are also worried that there are going to be people outside of polling places there to intimidate them. That's 52%, but 40% are worried about being personally confronted or recorded even while they're voting. I also wanted to talk about some of the other questions that they asked because these numbers are even more eye-popping if they could be. So this is related but a little bit different than actual ballot counting. 80% of U.S. adults worry that political leaders are taking actions they know are possibly illegal. 80%.
To influence an election. Yeah.
It doesn't even say that. It's just that their political leaders are doing something illegal. Okay? 78%.
Well, they are.
Well,
I mean, a lot of our leaders are doing things.
Well, Mike Johnson thinks so because he just warned people today that if Democrats win, then they're going to be going after the president, his donors, his cabinet, and all of you, he said, that have committed crimes. I'm like, Speaker Johnson.
Right, yeah, like, be careful.
Think about what you say.
You may be held accountable.
Yeah. So, look, 78% of people worry about the large anonymous donations going into politics. They're worried about the influence of money.
Sure.
And 77%, so these are all really close to the same percentages, they worry about gerrymandering. They're worried about changing voting district boundaries to give a party or a candidate an advantage in winning elections.
Those are the two concerns I have that bother me the most about elections.
Money and gerrymandering?
Money and gerrymandering. Yeah. I mean, money is a huge problem. You can't win an election without spending money. And of course, people aren't going to give you money unless they get something in return. I mean, it's very few people that will donate to a candidate. And this I shouldn't say this. Not everyone donates to a candidate because they think that candidate's going to be really good, especially the big donors.
Right.
This person's going to make our society better.
The really big donors know there's something in it for them.
Right. There's something in it for them. Yeah. And so those people keep score. And this person donated $100,000 in my campaign. What can I do for them? Mm-hmm. And gerrymandering, of course, means for a large part of the country that your vote just doesn't count. And in Utah, I've said this 100 times. I'm a Democrat. I sometimes don't feel my vote counts at all. I don't live in Salt Lake County either. So, I mean, I still vote. I'm still always going to vote. I love voting. I'll always be part of the process. But I vote for Republicans periodically. I voted for 2 or 3 in the last cycle. But you often feel as a Democrat, if you do vote along party lines, it doesn't count.
Well, it does count. It does count, right? And I've heard that concern before too, right? Is like, okay, well, I'm a Republican in a Democratic area or vice versa, so my vote doesn't matter. Well, it does. But also I will say that the change in maps has made the Democrats in Salt Lake County a lot more motivated this year to get out and vote.
Yeah, they're going to get out and vote. I mean, it may not last long. I mean, I live in Weber County, which historically has been a little bit purple. It's gone very red recently, although we did have a legislator from Weber County just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And so there was some reason for Democrats to come out. And like I say, I'm going to go vote anyway, no matter what.
Are you talking about Rosemary Lesser?
Yes.
Yeah, she's running again this cycle.
Right, yeah.
So you could have one outside of Salt Lake County. But look, no, I get that whole idea, but I also want to push back on it because I think it's important to show up and vote. And whether you think your person is going to win or not win, right, I think in some ways it's important to be able to say, look, I voted and I wanted my vote registered as maybe it's a protest vote. Maybe it's a I really support this person vote. Maybe it's a hold your nose and vote. Sometimes there's that too. But what this polling pulls out to me are the really high levels of concern that people have. And they also broke it down. This is Gallup. They also broke it down by party. They also broke it down by gender and by race. And you can imagine that there are some differences there as well. But even Republicans are also quite worried about political leaders pressuring election officials to change the outcome.
You know, and the second leading category that people are concerned about is ballots not being properly handled, counted, or secured.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost impossible to do with today's election integrity. I mean, there's so many levels of
track your ballot,
making sure that it's done correctly, that no single election clerk could do something like that.
But remember, feels like we've had an active campaign of sowing doubt in the ability to, for example, cast your vote by mail. We've had doubt being sown, and so you see that now reflected in a poll, and this is nationwide. That people across the country are saying, I worry that my ballot's not going to be counted.
I personally do get concerned when I hear someone is installed as an election official and they're an election denier. To me, personally, I think that person would manipulate the system if they thought they could, or at least they don't trust the system that they're working for. That concerns me. Well, anyway, I still have a tremendous respect for the system, and I think we do a great job here in Utah.
Yep.
And I think our Lieutenant Governor is doing outstanding work, and our county clerks are as well. Well, next up on Inside Sources, well, we're going to find out what you know about geography. Do you think you could print out the list of the countries and write them down, especially Africa? Maybe not, but do you think the State Department could figure that out? We have a weird story to tell you about next about the State Department messing up a map of Africa, every country, when we come back.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Why settle for a basic night out when all tickets for Utah Symphony and Utah Opera performances are now on sale? And for a very limited time, premium main floor seats to most performances are $29 or less. Enjoy splurge-worthy nights without the splurge with events like Rossini's Cinderella with the Utah Opera, Hocus Pocus in concert, and Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony. Don't wait. Prices go up after August 15th. More at usuo.org/August.
If you're in the market for a new vehicle, start at Performance Automotive in Bountiful. Browse a large inventory of Ford, Toyota, and Honda vehicles, plus hundreds of quality pre-owned options. Whether you're upgrading your daily commute, looking for more space for the family, or ready for your next truck or SUV, the team at Performance Automotive can help you find the right fit. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda today. Or shop online at performancebountiful.com.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's another Little Minds Big Hope message from Dr. Jennifer Mitchell, the Children's Center Vice President of Clinical Strategy and Innovation.
Did you know that frequent bedwetting can sometimes be linked to stress or anxiety in young children?
When big emotions feel overwhelming, kids' bodies can respond in unexpected ways. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
And expanded Inside Sources.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean.
Apparently, kids from the 90s will recognize that song. I don't, but it helped teach a lot of young people geography back in the good old days, and maybe we need to bring it back. The U.S. State Department could certainly use a little refresher on where each country lies.
So this story just blew my mind. The State Department, which generally has good maps and deals with other countries all around the world, recently presented at an AIDS conference in Brazil, but they showed a map of Africa. They mislabeled every country on the map. The countries that they labeled were mislabeled.
Every single one. So I'm looking at the chart myself. It deals with funding. It was a conference, like you said, in Rio de Janeiro, an AIDS conference showing U.S. aid going out to various countries. They list 6 of them, shows a picture of it. It shows there's a little arrow going to each country: Nigeria, Mozambique, Uganda, Malawi, Cameroon, and the amount of money that was given to them. Every single 6 out of 6 were wrong. Like, come on, you guys.
So
this isn't
First
hard.
of all, staffers got the blame immediately, which is what you do when you make a really bad political mistake. You blame a staffer. But it was so bad that they actually issued an apology.
Well, yeah.
Well, look, I mean, the federal government rarely apologizes for anything, right? So it was to me, that is so embarrassing. And it sends a message that we just don't care, right? We just don't care. So first of all, I have to clarify, Africa is a continent. It is not a country. And some people still say Africa when they mean a country in Africa. There's actually 54 different countries in Africa.
Right.
But so Nigeria, which is home to one of the continent's largest ports, meaning it's on a shoreline, drifted inland. It grew in size and changed shape.
Yes.
Imagine that.
It almost, Holly, you couldn't miss 6 out of 6 unless you were trying. I mean, this almost seems like somebody was messing with them.
I don't know.
So sloppy, so completely unprepared.
And
they didn't care.
what's interesting is it's not like Nigeria, for example, that was mislabeled. It's not like they took the entire country and moved it so it has the same shape. It has a different shape. And it's not like they took another country that actually existed and put the wrong name on it. It created a new country with a different shape.
It's created a blob.
A blob.
This is Nigeria.
Resembling no existing state. So Mozambique, where my son, I actually have a son who served an LDS mission there. It went north. Malawi went south. The Ivory Coast crossed the continent. I think it's funny and sad.
You know, especially coming from the State Department, how offensive to those countries. Because you're right. It tells them, you don't care about me.
Right.
You know, sure, well, thanks for the money. That's great. But you could at least know where we are, what you're doing.
Well, look, one of the things, too, is this was on an AIDS prevention conference. And one of the things that the United States has done is really significantly decrease the amount of aid we have been giving. And so when the U.S. Basically scuttled USAID, they also scaled back PEPFAR, which is the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. PEPFAR has been a nonpartisan program for a number of years, and it has absolutely saved lives because in the United States, for example, and other developed countries, AIDS still exists. AIDS is a virus. The disease process, HIV is the virus and AIDS is the disease process that comes from the virus. In the United States, there are enough antivirals that people with HIV can stay, like they just live a normal life. It's like a chronic illness, right? But in sub-Saharan Africa and other places as well, there are places in Asia as well, HIV AIDS still kills a lot of people. Adults, it's transferred from moms to babies. Both during the pregnancy and during the postpartum period, but not with these preventive measures. And so we were at a conference to say, hey, we've decreased our aid a lot. And by the way, we've got it all wrong.
Yeah, and apparently Matt Pettit, who focuses on artificial intelligence and geopolitical politics for the Atlantic Council, said this: whoever created and approved this slide did not know, this is kind of what you were just saying, where the countries in Africa are and did not care to check their work. Ouch.
Ouch.
You know, that's somebody didn't care.
And I mean, I think it shows, right? And we've got a texter that says maybe there's a problem with our education system. Maybe, yeah. Right?
Not the State Department.
The State Department. So one of the things that I have turned to for the State Department before I travel internationally is a lot of times they'll have like these one-pagers and they've got lots of information and you can find out information about where you're going. Well, I rely on the State Department to have accurate world maps. Thank you.
Right. It'd be like an attorney saying, Your Honor, the Second Amendment clearly says that I have to be free from unlawful searches and seizures. Like, come on.
That's not the Second.
That's not the Second Amendment. Get it right or don't even talk about it. Don't be silly.
So that map where you just quoted the person that said they didn't care, it was created with AI. Do we have a problem with AI? Perhaps we do. I can't believe that even AI would make that bad of a mistake, but they do, right? Remember, AI used to make 6 fingers on a person, but now they're getting better.
It looks like it was created by a child because they're just blobs.
I know.
It's like somebody got some Play-Doh, threw it at a map of Africa, and it just splotched on, and then they said, okay, get a big green thing and throw it on the map, and we'll call it Nigeria. I mean, that's literally what it looks like.
I know, and that is not what the country looks like. It's not where it's located. I mean, look, so
what happens is you're doing a presentation, you're doing this thing on AIDS, you're talking about help, you throw this map up, and immediately
you lose all credibility.
Right. Nobody cares about
Immediately.
anything you
That's
say
right.
after that.
Yep, that's right.
Do not
because
know.
you immediately have lost credibility because anybody who looks at that, even if they only know one country and says, that's not where Mozambique is located, then immediately as a speaker, you're like, okay, well, I can no longer continue.
You're right. The State Department did own it. We take full responsibility, and they've said that we apologize to our African partners. It's still pretty unforgivable. I mean, if somebody was doing a presentation in the United States from the
and they were
continent of
doing the
Africa,
states,
and they were doing all the states, and they had us all in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
They put Utah over somewhere in the Midwest, or even
or some blob in Canada, right? Yeah,
I know, right? So, look, if you remember, we've talked about some of the funding, but the official word from the government is, look, we want to help support the prevention and development of HIV/AIDS. They also have made it clear that they don't want to help South Africa at all, that South Africa has the largest number of people with HIV/AIDS, and this was not at the most recent conference. This was earlier in June, but the U.S. plans to withdraw all HIV/AIDS funding for South Africa.
For some political reason, no doubt.
I don't know.
That's sad. We take AIDS health care for granted in the United States.
Yeah, we do.
And we don't talk about it much.
It's become a chronic disease, right, with HIV.
Yeah, and there are people that have it, that have the virus, and they're HIV positive, and they flourish and they do well.
Normal
you
life.
Probably saw one this weekend. You didn't realize it.
We considered adopting children who were HIV positive, and that never ended up working out for us. But there are people who did adopt children who are HIV positive. They get these antivirals. They lead a normal life, right? And they never have the disease process complete. So, again, I just think the message that we send sometimes, like, we need to take more care. I mean, I take more care creating my slides for a class with 20 people in it than at an international conference where somebody threw it together with AI.
You don't want to get that bad. You don't want to get it wrong because you're talking to your audience. You're going to offend them. You're going to bug them right out of the chute. I don't know. You got to take these things seriously. Anyway, it's kind of funny in some ways, laugh, but a little bit offensive.
But embarrassing and offensive, yeah.
And don't count on AA to do all your work. We're not there yet.
Well, and you definitely better check your work.
Right.
Okay, look, coming up next on Inside Sources, a U.S. citizen is facing felony charges. Let me say this. A U.S. citizen is facing felony charges for protecting their private phone data when going through customs and immigration. So I have a lot of questions about this case and how it's not unreasonable search and seizure. I'm going to ask the attorney next.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top local story this hour. Dozens of homes have been evacuated in Millard County, where a large wildfire is still burning out of control.
It's now been a full week since lightning started the Widemouth 2 fire, and it's already burned more than 36,000 acres. Millard County Sheriff Steve O'Cam tells KSL the fire more than tripled in size just between Saturday night and yesterday morning.
We were all here working all night, knocking doors, evacuating people. And the wind out of the south was probably blowing 30 miles an hour.
So far, 25 homes have been evacuated in Kanash, Meadow, and the Kanash Band Reservation of the Paiute Indian Tribe. And officials say that number could grow depending on how the fire behaves this week with more hot and dry weather in the forecast. The fire is still 0% contained. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
All of these wildfires are causing a problem for our air quality pretty much statewide.
We're kind of surrounded by smoke right now.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says in central and southern Utah, they're getting smoke from the Widemouth 2 fire, while in northern Utah,
basically northern Utah is getting smoke from the Pacific Northwest. That's blown in the overnight last night. But then central Utah having to deal with wildfire smoke that's being produced within our own state borders.
Matt says the bad news is he's not expecting the weather to help move this smoke out anytime soon. He's predicting smoke at least through Wednesday, and it could get worse as we head toward the weekend. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, we are seeing green across the board right now. The Dow Jones is up 519 points. That's nearly a full percent. The NASDAQ is up 554 points. That is over 2%. And oil is tumbling at $4.66 loss today a barrel. It's just about to dip below $80 a barrel. Coming up, we're facing a brisk 90 degrees today. We'll update you on weather next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
And Doug.
Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons, and lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS4KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to cars4kids.org now or call 877-CARS4KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to cars4kids.org. That's cars with a K.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at UCCU.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
Nice and quiet on the Valley freeways. No accidents, no delays. We do have a disabled vehicle, and this is going to be northbound Bangerter Highway at the 201 junction. It's out of traffic on the left. It's not going to slow you down. You just need to watch for emergency crews as they arrive and a tow truck to get it pulled away. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs are going to be in the low 90s for the next 3 days until Thursday, when it goes back to 98 and then sticks back to 100 through the weekend. Right now, though, it's 82 degrees and sunny in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Okay, take a listen to this headline in the New York Times. A U.S. citizen deleted his phone's data. Now he faces a felony charge. So this happened during a customs search when he was re-entering the United States. He gave officials a fake passcode. So when they said unlock your phone, he gave him a passcode that actually erased his phone. So he's a U.S. citizen. He erased his phone. Is this an unreasonable search and seizure? Because he's facing some big counts here.
Yeah, so let me just tell you the facts and the law when you deal with search and seizure. And you articulated the facts pretty well. He is coming into this country from another country. He's an Atlanta resident, and he lands in the Atlanta airport. So he is at the border.
Right.
So, literally.
Right.
Under the law in America in 2026, there are certain times when the government does not need a warrant to search you.
Oh.
They don't.
Even if you're a U.S. citizen.
No matter who you are.
All right.
Like, for example, when I walk into a federal court, they're going to search me.
Okay.
They don't have a warrant.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I got to walk through a metal detector.
Sure.
And the government will do a full-on search. It's a pretty invasive search. Well, I got an airplane. You get on an airplane.
Sure.
They're going to search you. Okay. When you go to a border, they can search you without a warrant. So
Okay.
if you go to Mexico, they can search your car to make sure you're not
Sure.
carrying contraband. When you drive to California and it says stop checkpoint here,
Sure.
they can search your
For
car
fresh fruit.
For fresh fruit, exactly. and it's a warrantless search. Now you can say, I don't want you to search my car. I can walk into the court and I can say, I don't want you to search me. And
I don't consent.
I don't consent. And they will say, okay, then you can't come in. Turn around, go away.
Okay.
See you later.
Okay.
That's the idea. So you talk about reasonable search and seizure. Now, this person didn't have the option of saying, I don't consent to the search. I guess he could have and they could have said, well, then wait here and we're going to book you a flight back to wherever you were, but you're not entering our country. The border searches are a little weird because you can have a border search at the Salt Lake International Airport.
Right.
If you came in from Mexico
Sure.
and you're going to go through customs and they're going to search you. Now, I haven't got to the cell phone part of this, but they can search a person, U.S. citizen or not. They're treated the same based on not the Constitution, but case law that provides reasonable search and seizures include border searches. There are a lot of times you don't need automobile searches, all kinds of time. I teach this very class wherein you can do a warrantless search, and there are about 15 categories.
Okay.
So he's coming into the country. He's got a phone, and they say, we want your phone. Now, they don't need a warrant to grab his phone.
So
the question is, I think where you're going, well, what about to look at his phone? What about to access the contents of his phone? And that's really the linchpin of this whole thing. So he says, yeah, here's my phone. Go have at it. And they go, well, what's your password? And he gives them, I didn't even know they had this password. You can tell people your password, and as soon as they enter it, it wipes out your whole phone. So he provided the phone.
And gave them a delete code.
Right. And gave them a delete code. So I think it's going to be an interesting case because the Fourth Amendment allows reasonable searches. They can seize your phone. Does that mean they can look at the contents of your phone just because you're entering the country?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are they looking for?
Well, that was one of my questions too.
And what's your right to privacy?
What made them say, I want to see the contents of your phone?
So, they don't at border search. They don't care. It doesn't matter. If you're going through the border, they can search you no matter what. What they cannot do is say, look, we've got 1,000 cars coming through the border every day. We can't search every one. Let's just search the cars of people that are being driven by African Americans.
Right.
That would be bad. If they said, we're going to take every 10th car, that would be okay.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's completely random and it's not based on any constitutionally protected class.
Right.
So this person's coming into the country. It might depend on why they chose him, but they don't really need a reason. If he is, if he's wearing a tunic or something, that could be a real problem for them. If there's something about his appearance that would have been an inappropriate reason to search. They did it for some reason. I mean, I've never had my phone seized at the border, let alone can you open it up so we can read it.
His attorneys are arguing it is because he was a political activist, and so he was involved in protesting what they're calling Cop City, which is a police training center. But doesn't he have the right to do that? Like, why would would they target him? How would they know to target him? Because it feels pretty targeted.
Be wrong. That would be absolutely wrong. And I think that this is going to be a good case for the defense because you can't just target somebody because of political activism. I mean, you can, but you can say, hey, you're coming into our country. Can you give us your phone? And he could say no. And then they're going to be in a position where maybe in that case they probably did need a warrant because if they're looking at him for a specific reason, you can search anything if you have a warrant.
Sure.
But if you're searching without a warrant, you've got to be reasonable and you have to have probable cause.
So one of the things that I'm seeing, so I clicked on a link in the New York Times article that I read you the headline from, and it said that he actually had been placed on a terrorism watch list. He didn't know this, but because of his association with the movement against Cop City. So this Cop City, it's really big. It's a $109 million police training center for police. They say they're militarizing the police, and they're clearing a whole lot of forest, and so they're up against, I guess, the cops, right, who are in favor of it. But it doesn't say that there's anything he ever did that was considered a terrorist activity except to protest these this
So
development.
that would not have been reason. Now, what you can do, and this doesn't apply to him, but let me just say this. Let's say that he comes into the country and he's on some terrorist list, and he's been to some, let's say he's been to Iran, and
Sure,
you know what I mean?
I
And they're like,
understand that.
oh, we got a problem here.
Yeah.
Then
coming back
what you
from
do
Iran,
is
yeah.
you hold him for a minute,
Yeah.
you take his phone, and you go get a warrant,
Mhm.
which takes takes less time than this segment has gone. You know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
you can get a telephonic warrant. Hi, Judge, it's me. I got this guy here. He's got A, B, C, D, and E.
Yeah.
I really think that's a problem. Judge say, boy, you better open up that phone. See
Yeah.
you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Boom. You can get a telephonic warrant. I used to do them all the time.
He said he was put in a room with a table, chairs, camera, and microphone, and they started asking him about child sexual abuse images, which he didn't have on his phone anyway, but that instead of this whole cop city thing, they wouldn't give him an attorney. They didn't read him his rights, right? And they're saying, he and his attorneys now are saying, this is a huge problem.
Sounds like it's getting worse by the minute. Bad, bad, bad. And if they're saying, do you have child sexual abuse materials on your phone? Then they're just
Fishing. And that's what they're saying. They're saying this is a
using
fishing
it. They're using a purpose they had no evidence of at all to do a search that they didn't have probable cause to do. I think this is going to be a problem. I would be surprised if he actually gets prosecuted. Now, what we're learning is they're bringing obstruction charge. I don't know that they've filed it yet. Bringing an obstruction charge. I don't know what that means. They're going to charge him, or they're charging him. Bringing an obstruction. So what I'm saying is, I don't know that a judge or a grand jury or a prosecutor is really going to give them the case they want here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a felony, and besides that, give us your password, and he gives them a password that deletes the evidence. You know, is that? I mean, if it's one thing they say, you know, search your bag, and you immediately throw it in the toilet and flush it down.
Right. That's
that
what they're
would be-
saying.
That's what they're saying. It's akin to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And as an attorney, do you think that holds any water? That the phone is merely the container, and so it would be like flushing drugs down the toilet?
That's how it's going to be looked at by the prosecution. I just don't think they had probable cause to search the contents of the phone anyway. I think their problem occurs well before he hit the delete button. I think that the search was bad at the beginning, so that even if he hadn't deleted. Anyway,
well, thanks
we'll
for
follow
that.
one.
Ask
A year
the
from
attorney
now,
segment.
we'll talk about this. We'll see if I'm right or not. Hey, I've got a joke for you, and you know what's pretty intense? Camping.
Ha ha ha. Intense.
Yeah. Let's talk about camping, which you and I both enjoyed in the last couple of weeks. When we come back.
4 weeks may sound like a long time, but it really is not. Not when it comes to the amount of change you can have through Soda Diet and Nutrition in just 4 weeks.
4 weeks. And Soda is doing something amazing. I don't think they've ever done this before, Andy.
I can't think of it.
They're giving away 4 weeks for free. So just think about this. By, around the end of summer, you could have drastic change. You'll feel better in your clothes. You'll have more energy. You'll be sleeping better, all because of Soda.
Healthier, more confident, free from chasing an expensive fix because it doesn't involve any drugs. It doesn't involve anything crazy. It's just relearning how to eat and working step by step with a degreed nutritionist who guides you the entire way.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months. You lost how much?
70 pounds in 5 months.
Get 4 weeks for free. Just call 866-800-SODA and mention KSL.
Or go to SOTA, S-O-T-A, dietandnutrition.com because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda,
State of the art.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Join the conversation. Do you have an idea or a topic you think we should talk about more on the show? Let us know. You can send us an email at insidesources@ksl.com and tell us what you think we should cover. We're always looking for ideas and love to keep you, our listener, included in the chat.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 25% upfront bonus? And are they promising you up to 9% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They aren't. That's up to $25,000 upfront or up to $9,000 per year on $100,000, guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Unlock your Trajan family office at TrajanWealth.com or call 1-855-TRAJAN-1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN-1.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. DBA in most states has Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since 2008, Booksmart's accounting and bookkeeping has helped hundreds of clients and companies grow. Thanks to their women-led team, Booksmarts continues to earn awards and recognition from companies like Forbes and Accounting Today. Founder and owner Jenny Grober joins us with more.
Booksmarts is a women-owned and led accounting and bookkeeping firm, redefining the financial services industry by delivering remote fractional accounting support to businesses of all sizes. I started Booksmarts when I couldn't find work that fit around motherhood. That idea became a thriving team of women driving success for clients nationwide. Booksmarts isn't just balancing books, we're changing companies and communities. Whether modernizing family office operations, preparing a fast-scaling e-commerce company for aggressive growth, or supporting hundreds of franchisees nationwide, we meet clients where they are and take them where they want to go. Our impact hasn't gone unnoticed. We've been featured in Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, and the Wall Street Journal, and was recognized as one of 100 companies championing women. Flexible careers and high-quality accounting don't have to be mutually exclusive. That's why we're committed to helping women thrive at work while helping businesses thrive financially. Learn more at booksmartspro.com.
Booksmarts is transforming the financial services landscape by providing flexible, top-notch accounting solutions. Their commitment to supporting women in the workforce continues to make meaningful, lasting impact on communities. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
We're coming to the end of our show, and Holly, I'm glad to have you back. We missed you. You weren't here at all last week. Jim Bennett did a very good job filling in for you, but I just have gotten so used to you and so comfortable with you that I kind of know where you're going at any time. Anyway, it's good to have you back. You were camping for the week.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about camping because where'd you go, by the way?
So I went up American Fork Canyon, which is close to our home. We went to the Timpanuki Campground, which is the one that the guy lit on fire a few weeks ago. So, in fact, there were several nights where I thought about what would we do if the camp host came around saying you need to evacuate right now at 2:30 in the morning, which is what happened to the campers who were there. But look, it was really fun. And here's, as I get a little older, it's a little harder to sleep on the ground. I sleep on an inflatable air mattress, but still my hips were kind of hurting. But it rained 3 out of the 4 days that we were there. And I thought it was great because our tent didn't leak. It kept the temperature down. In fact, nighttime temps were in the 50s.
Yeah.
So it was a little chilly. It was probably in the 70s, maybe low 80s during the day because we had this nice rain that came through. So we really had a lot of fun. And by the time you get up there, you don't have cell coverage anymore. So I was completely off the internet. And it was really fun. We saw moose, a big one, came through the neighbor's campsite. We saw 2 deer come through our campsite, tons of squirrels. The squirrels were really, really busy gathering pine cones, which I was like, I don't know if that's an indicator that we're going to have a rough winter or not. But swear they spent 12 hours a day climbing the tree, throwing down pine cones, carrying them to a different tree. And in fact, my daughter, who was with us, she is 30. She's married, has a 3-year-old. They were all up there with us too. And she said, I think they're yelling at me, because you would hear them chitter, and then like thunk, a little pine cone would hit like the shade covering that we had. She's also a hummingbird whisperer. There's so many hummingbirds up there. I didn't realize there were hummingbirds that far up.
Oh, yeah.
And she got a couple of them to sit on her finger. I'm like, what the freak?
That's amazing.
It was
That's
really
pretty cool.
fun.
So what was it, door to door, from your door to the tent door?
I actually
Miles.
timed it. Oh, miles, I don't know, but it was 25 minutes door to door.
Okay, yeah. So I was thinking that very thing about you camping, because we went up to Smith Morehouse, which was much further, but not going to another state by any means.
Yeah.
You go and you're sleeping on the ground
Yeah.
or on an air mattress.
Yeah.
You don't have the same
Cooking
facilities.
outside.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you go
pit
for
toilets.
a reason. Right, yeah. I mean, you leave the comforts of home. You go
Yeah.
up there camping.
Yeah.
But it was probably a great thing.
It really was fun, and there's so much work that goes into it ahead of time. But then every year we do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forget how much fun it is once you actually get up here.
Right, and the preparation and cooking your own food.
Yeah.
You know, of course, you always cook.
We
your
do
own food,
Dutch
but-
oven cooking though, so we had some of our more of the kids come up 2 nights to have food with us, and my husband did homemade rolls in the Dutch oven, and of course we had to do peach cobbler, and we do a stew that's 7-Up chicken, because it literally has 7-Up in it. Of course, everybody loves that. And of course, we had to do s'mores, and we did hot dogs, and we cooked hamburgers over a grill. And that stuff it really, like, it all tastes better if it's cooked outside.
Right. You know, and the reason we're talking about this is because there was a study done by KOA. The chief of KOA actually talked with the Deseret News about the state of American camping, and just talked about, we've sort of covered most everything that we've talked about, just how fun it is and how Americans get out and camp, and they do that. They socialize. You meet somebody you've never met before. I'm sure there were people at other camp spots that you...
Yeah, we didn't really talk to them.
kind of keep to yourself.
So
we didn't either, really.
There was only one other camp spot close to us, and they're the ones who alerted us about the moose as they started running up the hill. Like, there's a moose. It was a big boy, too. But look, I think we're talking about it partially because I was on vacation. But yeah, camping has a lot of benefits. So we've talked a lot about getting out in nature, touching grass, right? Those types of benefits. There are a lot of things that are really good for, like, the brain reset. I came back from 4 days off the internet, super productive.
That's another thing.
Super
That's
productive.
where we went. There was no internet.
Yeah.
And it was like,
yeah,
who cares? When you can't get it,
Yep.
you don't. It doesn't bother you.
We played games. I did a craft project that I never would have taken the time to start down in the valley with my daughter. It was really a lot of fun. And then I came back and I did 11 loads of laundry, and I deep cleaned the main level of my house, and I moved furniture. And my husband was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I feel great."
Yeah, that was
Right?
great. We only went one night, but I was jealous. You got the whole week to go.
I did. So thank you for that. Look, I have a few fun facts for today.
Yeah.
So it is National Watermelon Day, which I think is great. It is also Clean Your Floors Day, which I think is funny because I just did clean my floors. And it's National Friendship Day. So lots of fun things to celebrate today.
And if you spill watermelon while you're eating it on your floor, you can
Then you
enjoy
can clean it.
both
There you
things
go.
at the
There you
same
go.
time. There you go.
All right, I have some fun facts also. So it was on this day in 1492 that Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. It's the day that he started for the Indies with the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
The day he set sail. The
It's the
day
day
he
he set
bailed
sail.
out.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
interesting.
1882. In fact, we know what day he arrived too. It was in October. Yeah. In 1882, the U.S. Congress passed a law restricting immigration. So this is a long story. In 1905, Maggie Kuhn was born. One of the things that's interesting about Maggie is she was forced to retire when she turned 65. And she's like, I'm not ready to retire. I'm not ready to give this up. But she was forced to. So she became a senior rights activist, and she founded a group she called the Gray Panthers. And she was active in that movement until she died at age 89. But she's really famous for a phrase that has been misattributed to other people. But she said, speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. Because she was going in front of Congress and saying, look, we shouldn't be forced to retire at a specific age if we can still do the job.
That was interesting. I had no idea. I mean, I could see forced retirement for certain careers that require
for certain careers,
things.
right,
Yeah.
or certain things. But yeah, so I love that. Speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. So it was on this day in 1934 that Adolf Hitler declared himself Führer, which means leader. He merged the office of German Chancellor and President, and then took that role. And it was 2 years later, exactly to the day, that American sprinter Jesse Owens won the 100-meter race in front of Adolf Hitler in a famous race at the Berlin Olympics.
Yeah, and that was a race that went down in history. 10.3 seconds, which even by today's standards was pretty fast. Jesse Owens had a rough life after the Olympics, but that was a really big game for the United States and for the African American community, because he went there and he just took control.
Front of Hitler.
Yeah, in front of Hitler himself. Yeah.
So it was also on this day in 1949 that the NBA was born. And then in 1981, you probably remember this, but 13,000 air traffic controllers began a strike. President Reagan gave him an ultimatum. You get back to work within 48 hours or I'm firing you.
And guess what happened?
He fired them.
He fired them all. And
Yep.
13,000 people. And boy, that really shook things up for the air traffic controllers. But, I mean, to his credit, he said, get back to work or you're done. And they're like, no, we're going to be on strike. He said, no, see you later, bye.
Yeah.
And it messed up the flight industry for a little while there until we got more people involved.
All right. What are your closing arguments for us? You only have about a minute and a half.
Well, that's good because this one only take a minute and a half. So before I went to law school, I've told people this, I studied engineering. I got a degree in engineering. I studied chemistry, mathematics. I studied physics. In fact, I was a math and physics major. I follow the science. And last week, I didn't get to talk about this because Friday was a movie show. We talked about a couple things that got me thinking about the science. We talked about Anthony Fauci and his involvement in the COVID-19. And we talked about the fact that our planet is on fire as the result of climate change. And what I learned in college, and a lot of people won't agree with me, is to follow the science. And I still follow the science. I really do. I really think, this is just me, absolutely just Greg Skordas talking based on my limited knowledge as a scientist, that what we did in this country to stop the COVID-19 pandemic was brilliant, and that the medical leaders that we had, including Fauci, did what they thought was best to save lives. And in my opinion, we did save lives. We did the right thing. I also think that what we've learned about the fact that our climate is off the charts is because of the fossil fuels that we're burning. I think people still haven't come around to either of those opinions, and I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm just here to say that science has served me well, and I think more people would be better off if we at least trusted our scientists and doctors and engineers more in the future.
Thanks for your closing arguments. Appreciate it. So, speaking of climate, this year's fire season is now officially ranked as one of the worst in Utah history. Just how bad are things? Details are coming up next on Utah's New News. We'll be back tomorrow.
KSL FM Midvale.